Chris Avalon Unfiltered, bitch.
No, welcome to Happy Tuesday. It's your boy Chris Avalon, and welcome to a brand new morning episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered, a show we basically talk about all things going on in celebrity news, pop culture, hot topics, might get a little political. So if that is a show for you, definitely stick around because we got a lot of tea to spill today, including we have to talk about Five Nights at Freddy's because, yeah, I didn't do a show on Monday because I was busy. So, yeah, we got to talk about that box office breaking records and stuff. We got to talk about the Golden Globe snubs. It'd be interesting to talk about the nominations, but nominations are boring. I want to talk about the people that got snubbed for nominations. Also, we got to talk about Skeet Ulrich revealing, speaking of Five Nights at Freddy's, spilling some tea about what would have happened in the Scream trilogy had Melissa Barrera not been fired. We also got to talk about this hostile takeover Paramount is trying to get over Warner Brothers Discovery. Sydney Sweeney, apparently her career is dead in Hollywood because she tried to cook herself to a bunch of goddamn Trumpian incels, and they realizing the maggots don't really go to the damn movies. They just want to see her tits before she goes legit. So we got to talk about that and her fake PR apology. Speaking of also people who are allergic to saying I'm sorry, we got to talk about Pharrell doubling down on this stupid soundbite, this speech that he gave the other day. Plus, we got to talk about the Netflix docu series on the Diddler. Apparently, his mother has spoken out about some of the allegations that were made against her son and against her. So we got to talk about that. Kimora Lee Simmons has finally opened up about her daughter. Um, going around and hunching a man that was old enough to be her damn daddy. And then we got to talk about the guy that accosted Ariana Grande on the red carpet for Wicked for Good. How he's been banned from Lady Gaga's concert, and I'm sure more will follow after that. Then we got to talk about Heated Rivalry, where there's an ex-hockey player who's giving his overall thoughts about the show and feels that the show might actually encourage some hockey players to come out of the closet. So we got to talk about that. Plus, we got to talk about those rumors regarding Discord Addams. We did talk about it the other day, but she has spoken about it and all that good stuff. So we'll talk about that. Also, we got some sad news in the world of there was this old homosexual reality show that I used to watch back. It was like The Bachelor for the gays, called Finding Prince Charming. Well, one of the Prince Charmings passed away. So, and I had spoken to him a couple of times, so that's why I'm doing that story. So, that'll be a part of the docket and a whole lot more. So, before we get to our topics, if you could please do me a solid and hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and also be sure to smash the notification bell so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. I was like, hold on, because I had to make sure that I had that Pharrell video because we're going to play a little bit of his corny ass speech when we get around to it. So, yeah, I know some of y'all are probably wondering why is Chris doing a morning show? You know, on occasion, I tend to do a morning show and stuff if I'm going to be so busy. I haven't been on the channel in the past couple of days because I've been extremely busy. But today, the reason why I'm doing an early show, because right after I got to run up out of here and go do this RuPaul's Drag Race season 18 premiere event. Media and everybody has to check in at 5 p.m. So I gotta run up out of here, get on this damn train, and the trains in New York are terrible. Zoran, you better fix that mess when you get sworn in next month. But the trains in New York City are a mess. I can't wait till we get rid of that old shucking and jiving coon, Eric Addams, his little clown ass. Then he can go stay in the back of, how many little Dominican nightclubs and smoke your little hookah and get drunk and get your little lap dances from some big booty bitches. So we need somebody that's actually gonna pass policy and do what needs to be done and not be tap dancing for Israel. So so right after that I gotta run up out of here and do the drag race premiere, which of course I will be jumping up on here tomorrow to spill y'all the tea of what transpired. So let me hit my ban. I mean, let me not the banner. Let me put it in the comments. Robert, I thought you was in school this morning. It said, what the Sigma? I don't know what the hell that means. And dude named Chris. Oh, another Chris in the building. Uh is in here. And let me hit my banner as I said before. And hold on. It's like I'm starting to hit wrong buttons. Let's get to our first topic without further ado. And let's talk about Five Nights at Freddy's 2. So I went to go see the movie over the weekend. And yeah, it's breaking all the box office records, and I'm glad a lot of people, it's making its money and it's doing what needs to be done. But quite frankly, I hated it. Like, I thought the movie was terrible. I thought the script was god awful. The problem I felt like that was with the movie and everything. Like, y'all wasn't when they put the kills and stuff in there, you didn't really see them. I felt like a lot of characters were wasted. You wasted Skeet Ulrich. He basically was a cameo. Also, Matthew Lillard was a cameo. And then y'all had McKenna Grace up in the movie. She was barely in it. Also, Teo Briones, who played the brother in, oh my God, what's that? Final Destination Bloodlines. He was in the movie too. He played a cameraman and ended up killed off. Like, that was just killing people. You wasn't really seeing nothing. So it definitely felt like a horror movie for like 12-year-olds. Like, it was giving very much goosebumps on TVTs. And I think the problem was y'all had the creator of the franchise write the script by himself, and it goes to show that he didn't know what he was doing in regards of the writing and everything, because writing 101, when it comes down to it, is like you have to understand that you can write you can put in your Easter eggs, you can create for different characters and all this other stuff, and put all that in your film. But you also have to be cognizant of the fact that there are people coming into this film that aren't familiar with the Five Nights at Freddy's universe, the games and all other stuff. So you have to also broaden your horizons and make things make sense in regards to that. Also, when it came down to the writing, why are you explaining every little thing that Josh Hutcherson was? Oh, here I'm going to type in this thing on the computer and blah, blah. It's like, why are you explaining all of this? Like, another thing that you learn in film school is show don't tell. Like, you literally have to show people what it is they're doing. You don't have to sit and give me an explanation of what you're doing as you're doing it. Like, we all have eyes. We're not dumb. Well, a lot of people are, but for the most part, you should leave it up to the audience to be smart enough to understand what they're looking at and what's going on. If they don't, then ask somebody. But nevertheless, the script was terrible. Josh Hutcherson's character was boring, and I like Josh Hutcherson. Also, in the opening sequence, when the little girl was like, "Oh, somebody got taken," blah 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 blah, blah, and then sorry, adults are talking like talks like that. You're at a kid's party, and every adult this girl went to was rude. I'm like, really? Come on now. So y'all was expecting me to suspend my disbelief way too many times in this damn franchise, and I wasn't even buying. I'm like, hell no. It was just dumb as hell. Um, and yeah, so at the end of the day, the movie was terrible, but um y'all don't seem to give a damn what my opinion is, and I'm fine, and I'm okay with that. I'm good. I have no problem living on an island by myself. It's lonely being at the top. So I know Felix said he liked it. No requirement for taste. Um, just joking. Felix said he liked it because I remember he said that he saw it and he was like, "I loved it." And I've heard a couple people say they love it. I'm like, were we watching the same movie? But then again, as they say, art is subjective. People like what they like, and it is what it is. So if you liked it, I love it. But I hated the movie. But anyway, so let's get into the article. So um it seemed like, well, look, the kids are taking over the box office. You got Wicked for Good that's doing really well. We got Five Nights at Freddy's that did well. And Zootopia 2 is almost at $1 billion already. So those people was running, I don't think it's going to make $1 billion. You clearly don't have children and don't know nothing about no kids, because trust and believe, Zootopia 2 was going to make $1 billion. And then I heard a certain pundit, John Campion, trying to move the goalpost yesterday. It's about, I don't think it's going to make $2 billion. Well, you did say a couple of days ago, before that movie came out, I don't think it's gonna make $1 billion. Now that it's making almost $1 billion, now you're gonna move the goalpost. Okay, we're not gonna keep changing the situation. Just say you was wrong and keep it moving. But look, kids like what they like. This was gonna do well, and I'm glad that y'all liked it. But anyway, so the article basically went on to say, even though Universal, Blumhouse, Atomic Monsters, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 um, at 63 million domestic didn't beat the original movie's 80 million opening, it was still pretty darn good, particularly for a PG-13 horror movie in December. And it felt every bit of a PG-13, which was like, and I understand when people's gripes about PG-13 and, oh, they're gonna cut out all the stuff, you can't really see nothing. For the most part, that would be true, except like when you look at exceptions like Predator Badlands. Predator Badlands was PG-13. They had all the gore, all the stuff up in there. But the reason why they were able to get away with that was because it was Wayland Yutani androids or synthetics and aliens that he was killing. So you can get away with that. You can show all that up in there. But a movie with human beings, oh, you know they was going to edit all that down to a bunch of damn nothing. Bloodless murders, or murders that you would just have to imagine happening because you couldn't see nothing. So they said that it ranked in 46 million abroad for a 109 million global opening. It should be noted that the sequel was pure theatrical release, unlike the last one, which I actually did not see in the theater because it was released day and date. So I actually watched Five Nights at Freddy's, the first one, on Peacock. And for the most part, I liked the first movie. I had a good time with it because this was during the pandemic. But this one, I was like, this is worse. This is horrible. Some people said they liked this slightly better than the original. I'm like, really? Because I like the original more than I like the sequel. So, so all the wins that it got. It says biggest opening ever for a post-Thanksgiving theatrical release, beating Warner Brothers' 2003 Tom Cruise epic, The Last Samurai. Like, who remembers that damn movie? With 24.2 million. Biggest opening ever for the 49th weekend of the year, ahead of 2001's Warner Brothers movie Ocean's 11 at 38.1 million. Biggest number one weekend for a movie during post-Thanksgiving weekend, beating last year's record set by Moana 2, which had a second weekend in the post-holiday frame of 51.2 million. Biggest weekend ever in a post-Thanksgiving period for all titles at 150 million, ahead of last year's record of 137.2 million. Biggest December horror opening, topping 1997's Scream 2 at 32.9 million. Biggest December opening for Universal Pictures, besting 2005's King Kong at 50.1 million. Was that the one with Jack Black? Biggest opening for PG-13 horror film in 2025, surpassing we were just talking about Predator Badlands. It surpassed them at 40 million. Second largest horror opening of 2025, behind only The Conjuring Last Rites at 84 million. I actually saw Conjuring Last Rites. That movie was not good. So, but look, it made a lot of money, and now they're about to make a prequel and a series. So the Conjuring franchise is gonna keep going, whether we want it or not. But yeah, I was so bored with that last movie. I'm like, okay, I'm glad this is over. Um, And they said with this debut, maybe because I'm such a hard ass when it comes to like that's my genre. So I'm very much hard on when it comes. I'm pretty much hard to please when it comes to horror film stuff. Like this week, I think it comes out. I'm looking forward to seeing Silent Night, Deadly Night. So I got to get a ticket for that. Speaking of which, the other day I finally got to see the original because you cannot find that movie anyway. You gotta the only way you can't even buy it, I think, but except physical. You can't buy it on digital. The only way you can see it is rent it. And once you rent it, it's like I can't go back and repeat watching unless I pay for it. But the good thing is because we have the new Silent Night, Deadly Night coming out, Shudder actually has it on their streaming service, and I have Shudder. So if I want to watch the movie a couple of times, I can watch it. And I can see why it was a bit controversial back in the day, but now when you look at it, it's kind of tame. And then they said third biggest opening for a PG-13 horror movie after 2023's Five Nights at Freddy's at 80 million and 2013's World War Z at 66.4 million. Now, internationally, it says in Mexico at 6.9 million, both the second biggest Universal horror opening of all time and the second biggest for Blumhouse, beating Five Nights at Freddy's. UK, Ireland with 4.4 million reps, Universal's biggest horror opening of all time, beating Five Nights at Freddy's, excluding previews. Brazil with 3.2 million is the biggest Universal December opening of all time, Universal's second biggest opening ever for a horror film, and Blumhouse's second biggest opening ever, ahead of Five Nights at Freddy's. And then they said Spain with 2.9 million is Blumhouse's biggest opening ever, excluding previews. Australia with 2.4 million is second biggest Blumhouse opening of all time, behind Five Nights at Freddy's, and the third biggest Universal horror opening of all time, behind Us and Five Nights at Freddy's. So even though I despised the movie, I thought the movie was god awful. I thought the acting, they were trying to do whatever they could with that script, but that script is just insufferable. And there were a lot of characters I just didn't care about. clearly with all these box office numbers that you're breaking, there's going to be a part 3. They set it up. They spent the whole movie pretty much trying to set up a third one. And that's what I hate about movies, when y'all spend so much time trying to drop Easter eggs and set up for the next film, that you're not present enough to think, you know what, maybe we need to focus on this script, and when it's good enough, then we can start dropping little seeds for a possible sequel if it does well. But I think too many writers focus on trying to create franchises and setting up for a sequel instead of focusing on what they got in front of them, which is kind of annoying. So I need y'all to just do that. And since pretty much with all these with it breaking so many box office records, we know a third one is coming. So when that third one is in development, please, Blumhouse, hire a co-writer again, because y'all had a co-writer with him on the first one, with the creator of the Five Nights at Freddy games. Y'all had a writer with him on the first one. Bring a writer back for the third. Maybe y'all trying to cut corners and save money or whatever the case is, but no, dip into the funds. Get him a co-writer so that way they can keep it on track and flesh out some stuff and fatten the meat on the bone instead of just the horrible ass writing that movie gave me. So yeah, that movie's so Five Nights at Freddy's is doing what it's doing. As y'all already know, I couldn't stand the damn film. I don't think I'll be watching that film again. I'll just hope that the third one will be better. But one of the movies I will say, instead of y'all wasting your money on that mess, if you want to see something, I don't know how long it's going to be in theaters, but go see Kill Bill, a whole bloody affair. I went to go see that on Sunday. Oh my God, I went to a late show. And this is how you notice that you're getting older, because it was like midnight, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting tired. And so the movie goes by relatively quickly. There's an intermission and all that other stuff, but it's 4 hours that you're in a movie trying to watch it. And to me, a whole bloody affair is the Kill Bill movie that I need on physical media. So Quentin, I hope that you, even though I'm pissed off at you with your crazy mouth and your pompousness of being a filmmaker and what you said about Paul Dano and all this stuff, I'm still windmilling on you about that. But for the most part, you're a phenomenal filmmaker. I love Kill Bill. It's like one of my top favorite action movies. And the way that you stitch this movie together, and of course, when we get like the crazy 88 fight sequence, it's so much cooler the way that he originally intended it, with the color and adding all the extra action sequences that he had to edit out at the time 20 years ago, putting all that back in. And also the extended what is it, the origin of Oren. When you see that sequence, oh my God, that sequence is crazy. So and they added extra footage and stuff with that. I didn't stay for the Fortnite thing that was after the credits, because I was like, okay, it's already after midnight, I'm tired, I'm ready to go home. So I didn't stay for that. But for the most part, if you can, before they take it out of theaters, I don't know when they're going to take it out of theaters, definitely go see Kill Bill, Whole Bloody Affair. It's definitely something you need to see on a big screen before, hopefully, Quentin puts it out on streaming. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Did you happen to check out um the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Um, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. I should have put my damn phone on silent because I'm getting all these damn interruptions. Boom, boom. Bum, 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 bum. Okay, you said Josh Hutcherson. I need that short. You better leave him alone. First of all, I seen him in person. He's very attractive. And I've been seeing him kissing all over. Who was that boy that he always been kissing on in these little Instagram videos? I'm like, let me find out, Josh. You're a little pocket homosexual. You know, I like the little ones. It's a huge Gen Z popularity franchise. I played the games. It will never be rated R due to its involvement of the Christian community and faith. Well, I ain't definitely feel no Christianness in the movie when I was watching it. Zootopia might make too, but it might. I mean, look, but it's got an uphill, battle to climb, because we got Avatar coming out. The theater was full when I went to see it. Well, when I went to go see it early, so it wasn't a lot of people in there, and I realized it's early morning, and I usually go on early Fridays because I know like people at work, people at school, and it gives me an opportunity to really like sit and watch. But the people that was in the theater, you could see they were fans. They had like the Five Nights at Freddy's popcorn bucket, which is like the big giant bear and all that stuff. It looks cool, but the movie was just not. They said it looks like there will be of course it's gonna be a third, especially after the amount of money it made this weekend. You said good morning, Chris. Well, I mean, no, it's technically morning here. It's 11:58. It'll be afternoon in 2 minutes. Oh yeah, Megan was well. To be honest, I'm like, what movie would I actually give a rewatch to? Five Nights at Freddy's or Megan 2.0? There were certain sequences in Megan 2.0 that I would rewatch, but that script was god awful too. Blumhouse, what are y'all doing over there? I was surprised to see Skeet Ulrich and Matthew Lillard in the same movie. Well, I mean, we all knew that they were going to be in the film because they advertised that they were. But yeah, they didn't have scenes together, which was relatively interesting. They can't remake 13 Ghosts because the 2001 stuff. Please, that don't mean nothing. You know, you can still there's a lot of movies that'll hold up that they'll remake. They don't care as long as it makes money. Funny enough, there was what was the when I went to see Kill Bill on 34th Street, they said I saw advertised they're re-releasing Stanley Kubrick's The Shining in IMAX. I think I'm gonna go see that because I was like, I never got the opportunity to see The Shining in the movies because I wasn't even born when it came out. So I want to see that in the movies, even though I've seen the movie so many damn times. Like I want to go see The Shining and I've never seen it in IMAX. So I'm so when that movie comes out, I think I'm definitely gonna get a ticket for that. Me and my two girlfriends are seeing The Grinch. Not you being a polygamist. Jokes. Is that I think we're gonna see a lot of classic films come back and at a price of $5, watch this become a trend to keep. Yeah, that's why. And funny enough, when you're saying that, I was thinking that because, like, when you say it, like when I was just saying about The Shining, it's like, yeah, they're going to be putting, I think, a lot of classic films in movies because a nostalgia, and that definitely works. When you put an old movie in theaters, people are going to go see it. Just like this isn't a story, but Avengers Endgame is going to be released in theaters next year. I can't remember when. I think in September. And the rumor is that they're going to put I think there's going to be a new post credit scene, which sets up Avengers Doomsday, which I think is pretty smart because if you add a little extra something, that'll definitely get people in theaters to see that scene. And they can retcon or change some things up just to set it up for Avengers Doomsday. Because at this point, we've said it so many times on this show, there hasn't been anything that's been alluding to us getting Avengers Doomsday. Like, there's no we saw that little post credit scene in Fantastic Four with Doctor Doom and stuff. So there hasn't really been any setup in regards of like setting up this new chapter in the MCU franchise because a lot of the movies, even though you had Thunderbolts, we had all these other movies, they haven't really done as big numbers financially as the Phase 1 through 3 era. So the Russo brothers got to make some changes and set some things up to get butts and seats. So I think that would be actually pretty smart that they would do that. Okay, so it said Matthew said Quentin said he does. Yeah, Matthew said Quentin said he doesn't like him as an actor. Yeah, we talked about that on the show when I talked about him going after. uh Oh my God, what's his name? The Riddler. I mean, yeah, he was the Riddler. Um, yeah, that actor. All of a sudden, I'm drawing a damn blank. Paul Dano. He talked about it wasn't just him. He talked about Owen Wilson, and he threw a stray at Matthew Lillard. And Matthew Lillard was like, his feelings, based to paraphrase, his feelings was hurt. Right? He said that. I was like, fuck Quentin. Quentin, first of all, should have kept that shit to himself. It's like you don't come out and say something negative like that about um a fellow actor, especially when you're a filmmaker. Like you keep that to yourself. You whisper that amongst like casting directors and stuff. You don't say that in an interview. And nobody asked you your opinion in regards of like other actors. So I don't know why he said that. He was just being a dick. And I understand you're passionate or whatever the case is, but this is a whole new world. It's like keep your comments to yourself. You don't have nothing nice to say. And what if Matthew Lillard is a fan of you and you say something like that? And it's like, I don't want to work for your ass. Movies aimed for Gen Z and younger audiences are going to be straight to streaming. Yeah, because a lot of them don't go to the movies. I was gonna say, but it depends. All right, for a 10-year edit. All right. Anyway, let's get back into the show. Speaking of which, all right, so since we already talked about Five Nights at Freddy's, let's talk about one of its stars. Well, I should say someone who basically makes a bona fide cameo, Skeet Ulrich. So yeah, he was on the red carpet for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And he had a conversation with Entertainment Weekly where he was shedding light on the original plans for his Scream character, serial killer Billy Loomis, before they had the whole creative shift regarding Melissa Barrera, where she was speaking out for, Palestine. She was very pro-Palestine, was condemning the genocide and all that other stuff. And Spyglass decided, okay, we don't like all that stuff. We're pretty much Zionists. We're gonna fire you for having an opinion. Which is always funny when incels always talk about they don't want people having an opinion. Celebrities need to just act or whatever the case is. When last time I checked, there are people out here who are also political activists. They're not just, shells of whatever, speaking for whatever. But when you get people on your side that speak things that you agree with, the energy is not there and it don't match. So Melissa Barrera ended up losing her job. And people were wondering because they're bringing a lot of the previous killers. That's the rumor, maybe AI, whatever the case is. But they're wondering if Skeet Ulrich is going to make an appearance in Scream 7. Who knows if that'll happen? So far, we only know about some of the other ones, Roman Bridgers. We know about Stu, but we only know that there might be voices, AI, whatever the case. We don't know in what capacity. So Skeet Ulrich is not speaking on whether or not he's going to be in it. It wouldn't, to be honest, the way that they worked his arc in the previous films, it wouldn't make sense for him to come back. They pretty much turned him into a Star Wars as Force Ghost. So it wouldn't make sense to be like, oh, well, all of a sudden Billy Loomis is alive. So when asked if it's a spoiler to question him on whether he would return as Billy Loomis for Scream 7, which comes out on February 27th, he says, I've been vocal about that. I'm not. When we talk about coming back for 5, it was a 3-picture arc for Billy Loomis to slowly turn his daughter into the killer. Obviously, those things didn't pan out given certain things that happened, but no, I know nothing about the 7th. Now, Ulrich's Billy Loomis died, as y'all know, in the original Scream in 1996 as one half of the Ghostface killers with Matthew Lillard's Stu Macher. However, when Radio Silence, filmmaking duo Tyler Gillett and Matt Bettinelli took the directing reins for the fifth Scream and Scream 6, which came out in 2022 and 2023, respectively. That's probably why that third act doesn't work, because y'all rushed out that damn Scream 6 movie. Billy returned in ghost form to guide his daughter, Barrera's Sam Carpenter, the de facto lead of the 2 movies. The certain thing that happened Ulrich is referring to are things Scream fans already know full well. Gillette and Bettinelli departed Scream 7 due to scheduling with another project, which was Abigail. Barrera was fired from the production over social media posts related to the Israel-Gaza conflict, and then the exits of co-star Jenna Ortega and new Scream 7 director Christopher Landon were announced shortly after. The direction of the 7th installment took a new path, as you know, where Christopher Landon left because he was getting death threats for staying on this film. And it also makes me wonder that if Sam was to become the killer, does that mean that Jenna Ortega would have been the final girl, and then if she would have had to move herself in a position of, I have to kill my sister to stop her from becoming the dark, like for the dark passenger? Yes, as a Dexter reference, taking over. So I'm wondering if that's what that would have transpired into. That would have been a fascinating direction, in my opinion, that they could have taken the franchise in. I would have really liked to have seen that pan out, but unfortunately, not unfortunate because I love Nev Campbell, but unfortunately, we're not going to get to see that and that world being explored. But I do like the idea that we got Sydney coming back. Sydney's family is being stalked. There's different and higher stakes. Hopefully it pays off, and I'm looking forward to seeing whatever that movie is. But once they, chop that, I don't know. I was on the fence. I'm like, what are we going to do about this franchise? But now that we got Kevin Williamson, who created the Scream franchise, so Gail, uh Sydney, those characters he created. And his DNA is definitely going to be over this script, because when you had them script writers from the previous Scream movies, the last two, I don't feel like y'all really truly captured Kevin Williamson's Scream isms in the script. So we know that from what I've heard, and I think it's pretty much out there, that Kevin Williamson definitely sprayed his skunk DNA all over this script. So they said there's gonna be a lot of callbacks. I forgot which actor that was in the film. Oh, it was the girl that plays Tatum, Isabel May. I think she was doing an interview for, oh my god, what is that? She, one of those Yellowstone spinoff shows that she's on. I don't remember because I don't watch the show that she's on. Is she on Landman? She's on one of them damn shows. But anyway, so she would sit down for an interview, and she was basically like, yeah, there's going to be a lot of callbacks to the original films and all this stuff. So I feel like that now, because the radio silence was pretty much thumbing their nose at my generation and was trying to pass it off to like Gen Zers or whatever, that would they could pass this franchise down to the next generation and be like, screw the people that been watching this franchise for almost 30 years. I feel like now they're trying to call it back to those of us who've been following this franchise since the beginning, which would be smart. And if there's any of the new generation that are interested in Scream and be like, you know what, I kind of like this franchise, let me go back and watch all the other ones, then that's awesome. But don't turn your nose up at the people who've been riding with this franchise since the beginning. But I do agree, at some point, we're going to have to revamp this franchise where Sydney's got to get a break, and it can't always just be about these killers going after her. Because the storyline is gonna get a bit stale after a while. It's like, come on now, 7 movies and we still going after Sydney. So they basically said that the film is now about Sydney's family, including her daughter Tatum, as we know, and her cop husband Mark, played by Joe McHale, being terrorized by a new Ghostface. So Ulrich has also said in the past he didn't read any scripts, but his comments may still come as a surprise, even though Sam becoming the killer remains a popular fan theory, of what could have been. Little is so definitely stated on the record. Barrera told Flickering Myth in 2023, it would be my dream for Sam to be Ghostface. That same year, she told Digital Spy, she's the hero, but she's also kind of the villain in this, so she's an anti-hero. It's this contradiction on her that I find fascinating. And the directors themselves often hinted at the darkness within Sam when alluding to where they might have taken the franchise next, saying Sydney inherits the thing from her mom, right or wrong. She is paying the price for something that happened in the past, and that for us is just always really an interesting idea. Because it's like, yeah, when you look at Sydney, her mother was, flaunting her stuff around town like she was Sharon Stone or something. And let's be clear, she is no Sharon Stone. You know the line from Scream. Um, and Sydney had to pay for a lot of her mother's reputation of living a double life. Then you have Sam. I like the idea that they explored the other side, even though I don't feel like they were really giving that in the scripts. It's better when you're explaining it versus us actually seeing it on the screen. So I like the idea that with Sam, it's like, yeah, we want to explore that other side. Is like, your father was a serial killer in Woodsboro, half of one, might have had a sexual relations with Stu. So Skeet character Billy was around here being a whore. He was doing Sydney, he was doing Christina Carpenter, he might have been doing Stu Mocker. And they tease that they might have been a little couple or whatever the case is when they do the cons and all the other stuff. So that would have been cool because it kind of gives like a Rope vibe. And if you haven't seen Rope, it's an Alfred Hitchcock movie, and you would know what I'm referring to when it comes to that whole, serial killer gay couple situation. So they said when a character living in a moment is having to kind of reconcile themselves with something that happened in their past, or with somebody that they have an attachment to in their past. And for us, certainly Sam is a proxy for that idea in so many ways, and her connection to Billy, all that for us is just such an interesting world to explore. So that would have been a cool thing to explore. But yeah, we're getting this new franchise. Hopefully it doesn't suck. And I'm looking forward to seeing the new Scream when it comes out in February. So yeah, I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story? Would you have liked to have seen a world explored where Sam Carpenter would have became the new Ghostface? And I'm guessing because, yeah, when you really look at it, Jenna Ortega is the biggest star in, in so many ways. People tend to be more familiar and more interested in wanting to see Jenna Ortega than Melissa Barrera. So it would have been interesting that they're kind of switched up the roles, and Jenna's character Tara, she was kind of like finding herself and getting, coming into her own, and seeing that it would being explored and her having to come to this decision of, damn, now I gotta take out my sister because she done snapped. That would have been an interesting world to explore. But I'm definitely curious to see what Kevin Williams is going to be doing with this franchise, and if he's able to redeem himself from that film Killing Mrs. Tingle. They call it Teaching Mrs. Tingle, but the original title is what I'm calling it, Killing Mrs. Tingle, because that was the title. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Not Cleveland using his government. He said, it would have been shocking. It says, speaking of Jenna, I heard Wednesday season 3 is coming. Damn, that's kind of quick. I'm surprised. Oh, I can't wait to get to this Netflix Warner Brothers drama because it's still going on. It's like even if I come out with new material, the latest news is just revolving so quickly or evolving so quickly. All right, so now, where we going? Okay, y'all. So now let's get into these Golden Globes situations. So yeah, there was, the Golden Globes named, came out yesterday, the nominations, and it was unveiled on Monday by Marlon Wayans and Scott P. Marshall. No relations to, I was going to say Marsha. Let me not. Let's just continue. So they said the nomination for next month's 83rd annual Golden Globes didn't come without some pain or some answered prayers. So we don't need to get into do we need to get into who some of the categories? We'll get into the ones that got snubbed. So yeah, so it says, to be fair to the voting body that once nominated Burlesque for Best Picture. First of all, Golden Globes is such a stupid, like, you can't even take them seriously. Don't they have the Hollywood Foreign Press that's all behind that? So the hell do they even know about freaking movies? A lot of the stuff that they talk about don't even hold weight. Like, you're not the Oscars, you're not the Emmys, you're like some little, you're a joke. So let's entertain the clown, the clowns of the circus. So yeah, they said the artist formerly known as the Hollywood Foreign Press Association has improved greatly over the last few years. Because didn't they even nominate Angelina Jolie's The Tourist for Best Picture? Which we all know that movie was god awful. But they were in the pay for play type of situation, and they got caught out there with that, and a lot of the discriminations they was doing against minorities. So, several categories went more or less as predicted by those who predict such things. One battle after another racked up the most nominations with 9, including Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Sinners, a movie with a touch of humor and quite a bit of music, was nominated for Best Motion Picture, Drama, going up against Hamnet, a movie that has neither of those things. Vince Gilligan's Return, the often darkly funny Pluribus, was nominated for Best TV Drama. I haven't seen that show yet, where it will face off against the definitively unfunny The Pit, which taught us about horrific medical terms like degloving. Regardless of what category these films and shows landed in, the stars and creatives will all be a major red carpet presence at an award show that prides itself on being a fun one. Yeah, because they have the table with the wine and all that other stuff. But without further ado, let's get into some of these people that actually were snubbed. So, Wunmi Mosaku, who played she was in Sinners. So, it's cool that Sinners got 7 nominations, but Wunmi Mosaku should have been pretty much nominated for Best Supporting Female Actor in Any Motion Picture. And it said, coming off a Gotham Awards win for her performance and riding the overall wave of love from Ryan Coogler's provocative blockbuster, Mosako seemed like a lock, and her omission here feels like it supports the arguments over the years that the Golden Globes have difficulty recognizing great Black performances. Probably because they ain't no Black people in the committee. Now, although Odessa Azion's phenomenal turn in Marty Supreme could be a close second in this weird category, and it's not like Masaku missed for a widely recognized stunner of a performance. Sorry, Emily Blunt fans, but choosing that turn over Masaku is one of today's sillier choices. Absolutely, because here's the thing. One Me did a phenomenal job in the film. I love the fact that she was coming in with her little hoodoo voodoo stuff, and she knew about how to take out the vampires. And, her situation with, who was it that she was dating? Was it Smoke? It's been a minute since I've seen the movie. I think it was Smoke, because Stack was the one that became the vampire. Smoke was a survivor. Or actually, he didn't survive. He died at the end. And then that's when we saw he saw her and the baby and all the other stuff. So um just seeing that dynamic between them, and she should have been nominated for her part in the movie. Nobody went to go see that movie with Dwayne Johnson. So yeah, Dwayne Johnson got a nomination and Emily Blunt got a nomination. And I heard she was like playing the typical stereotypical doting wife or whatever. She didn't really have any meat on the bone of her character. So yeah, you're gonna do that because familiarity, popularity contest. You want these people to show up. You feel like nobody knows who One Me is, but everybody knows who Emily Blunt is, whatever. But that still ain't gonna get people to see uh the Smashing Machine. Another snub, Andor for Best TV Drama. Is it because, well, I don't know, Star Wars, we already know, has been pretty much more missed and hit in regards of the commentary and all the other stuff. But Andor should have been nominated, especially with that final season, one of the best seasons in television. But of course, they want to go and give it to Pluribus and Severance and all this stuff, which makes sense. And trust and believe, Apple TV has a lot of great content on their streaming service. The problem is, a lot of y'all don't. I guess a lot of y'all not watching what's on Apple TV, but they do have a lot of really good shows. My thing is, I got to remember that I have Apple TV and go over there and give it a gander every now and then, because I do have Apple TV. But sometimes I be watching so much other stuff, I forget about that channel. I think I forget about that channel more than I forget about Peacock. So, um, they also said this was the weakest season of Slow. Well, I've never seen Slow Horses, but I do. I definitely agree with the White Lotus. White Lotus last season was not great. Diego Luna did get a deserved Best Actor nomination for his performance as Cassian Andor, but a voting group that has often made unexpected choices, especially in its TV categories, played it shockingly safe this year in Best TV Series Drama, which meant Disney Plus doesn't get an invite to the party. The Empire wins again. I don't know if Disney gives a damn. And then we also have Task, which only got one nomination. So HBO's acclaimed new thriller notched a nomination for the excellent Mark Ruffalo, but missed everywhere else, including Best TV Series Drama for the supporting actors like Tom Pelphrey and Amelia Jones, both of whom turned in true breakthrough performances. What the hell? Again, it feels like the Golden Globes went with the familiar instead of the best in the dramas. It's all political. I don't even think they watch a lot of these shows. They just go by, well, who's moving the goalposts, who's popular, who's the name that we read. Oh yeah, let's just give them a nomination. I love Walter Goggins. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the oh my god, what's the name of that? I'm drawing a blank, but that Fallout. I'm looking forward to seeing that new season when it drops. When does it come out? This week? Next week? I can't remember. This month. I'll just say that. I'm looking forward to seeing season 2. I've always loved Walton Goggins. I've been a fan of Walton Goggins ever since he was on oh my god, what is that? Totally forgot the name of the show. With Mickey from Scream 2. Justified. That's what it was. I knew it was gonna come to me eventually. I love Walter Goggins ever since he was on Justified. I almost said The Shield. I love that show too. But Justified. Ever since then, I've been following his career. So um I'm looking forward to. I like him and I like Jason Isaacs, but come on now. there's no reason why y'all shouldn't have nominated any more people besides Mark Ruffalo from Taz. Taz was a great show. Definitely check that out if you have HBO Max. Now, one of the surprises, they said Wake Up Dead Man. Did that movie even come out yet? Did anybody see that? How y'all nominate stuff we ain't seen yet? But okay. Now, this is the first two Knives Out movies were both nominated for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, and Daniel Craig was nominated for Best Actor twice, despite getting universally great reviews, better than the last one by and large. The third film in the series missed out entirely, not showing up in any categories. We suspect a welcome push to honor more international films, and basically the whole award season slate from Neon led to the demise of Benoit Blanc's Globe prospects. Someone should start an investigation. Yeah, because I'm hearing that Wake Up Dead Man is actually pretty good. They're saying it's better than the second one. I'm looking forward to seeing it. I think it might be coming out this week on Netflix. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing that when it comes out. Now, they said a surprise Wicked for Good is a cinematic achievement. Stars Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, Frappuccino, were recognized in the acting categories, but the movie they headlined did not show up for Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy, a category for which it seemed engineered in a lab. Well, quite frankly, a lot of people did say Wicked for Good was a disappointment. That Ariana and Cynthia did a great job with the acting and stuff. So them getting nominated for in the acting category makes sense. But the movie itself, they could have kept that. The 2024 Wicked was not only nominated for Best Picture, but won the truly goofy Cinematic and Box Office Achievement Award. It showed up again in the latter category this year, but missed the more prestigious category for some surprising options like No Other Choice and Nouvelle Vague. Guess, um, guess this one just isn't just well, it said guess this one just isn't quite as popular. And what else? Oh, they snubbed Gwyneth Paltrow child for Marty Supreme, which I guess is fine because I don't particularly care for Gwyneth Paltrow. She irritates me. So snub away. They also said it was surprise Glenn Powell. That a surprise of the morning's nominations was actor Glenn Powell, who snagged a nomination for Best Performance by a male actor in a TV series musical comedy for his Hulu comedy Chad Powers, which has got renewed for the second season. He plays Russ Holiday, a former college quarterback who disguises himself in full prosthetics to score a spot on a struggling team. And they got a picture of him with his arms up showing his pits. I'm like, now, child, don't tempt me because I would put my face up in that. Now, snub, which shouldn't come as a surprise to nobody, Swastika Sweeney. So, despite receiving some of the best reviews of her career for her lead performance in a bruising sports biopic, Christy Swastika Sweeney didn't land a nomination for her work as Christy Martin, a real life trailblazing female boxer. Well, who was shocked by that? And also, they mentioned Julia Roberts was a surprise. She is an awards darling, but her film After the Hunt wasn't received well by critics. Upon its Venice International Film Festival debut, the Oscar winner, however, was recognized in Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Motion Picture drama category for her stellar performance as a philosophy professor at Yale who becomes entangled in a scandal. Now, another thing that was snubbed was Avatar Fire and Ash. James Cameron's third entry in the blockbuster franchise is the first to not land a nomination in the Best Motion Picture Drama category. The 2010 original won the award in 2011. Well, that could be because the movie's not out yet. Now, they started, the embargo lifted a little bit where people could give their reviews on it. That was like last weekend. They started, I think it was like Friday or whatever. People were able to like see the film and there were screenings and all that other stuff. But maybe they're making it in time or maybe they were just like, you know what? People got a bit of Avatar fatigue, especially with those movies being so freaking long. Another snub, Jennifer Lopez. So her first major role in a movie musical didn't land her a nomination in the competitive Best Performance by a Female Actor in a Supporting Role in any motion picture category. The Golden Globe nominee did acclaim work in Kiss of the Spider Woman, which premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in January, but it wasn't enough to put her in the mix. And I think maybe they were saying she should have just did a couple of more, what do you call it? Like more festival runs of the film before they put it out. But it lost a lot of momentum. People didn't care. I don't even know if it's doing well on digital release because you can watch it at home. Quinta Brunson was snubbed also. Now, after one win and two Golden Globe nominations, Abbott Elementary star and creator Quinta Brunson did not score an acting nomination at this year's Golden Globes. The show itself was nominated for Best Musical or Comedy Series for the third year in a row. Is it because the show's been on for so long? They're like, okay, we tired of nominating the same shows, so let's kind of spice it up a little bit. But then again, it contradicts itself because, like we were saying earlier when I was reading the article, they were saying that they're y'all spicing it up and trying to change things up, but y'all also trying to stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to by nominating some of the same other people in some of the same shows and movies and stuff. So maybe that is a bit of a contradiction. Now, surprise, Emily Blunt, as we talked about previously, where y'all went and overlooked Wumi Mosaku and put Emily Blunt up in there as for a nomination. So yeah, she got the best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture category, opposite Dwayne Johnson in The Smashing Machine. The film's muted box office performance had many wondering how that would affect her awards chances, but both Blunt and Johnson came out on top, snagging nods for their strong performance in the real-life wrestling drama. That should be no surprise. There's plenty of movies that make $2 at the box office, and y'all still will nominate them for an award, hoping that it'll, get people excited and want to check out a movie they missed in theaters. So that's usually like, how many times have we seen that happen? How many Oscar nominated films made like 10 cents at the box office and they still nominate them? That don't mean nothing. They talking about Hugh Jackman got snubbed. So they said 4 times Golden Globe nominee, Jackman is a favorite of the award show. However, he didn't land a nomination for Song Sung Blue, a musical biopic drama that follows the story of Mike and Claire Sardina, who formed a Neil Diamond tribute band called Lightning and Thunder. His co-star Kate Hudson did factor in the best performance by a female actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy race. Maybe because it's expected that Hugh Jackman is a song and dance man. I mean, we know that Kate Hudson sings; she puts out music, but maybe that's what it was. It was like, with him with the Neil Diamond wig on, and it's expected that he's a song and dance man. So that's probably why they overlooked him. But I don't even know, did that movie even come out? Because I remember when I went to the movies, I forget what movie I went to go see. They showed the trailer for it. It looked interesting, but it's not something I'm going to go sit in a theater and watch. Now, of course, they done snubbed, well, not of course, and I should say it's shocking. They snubbed the Taylor Sheridan universe. But Taylor Sheridan pretty much is breathe some life into Paramount. Like nobody quiet as kept. Nobody was checking for Paramount except for when Taylor Sheridan started creating these shows. Like his Yellowstone prequel 1923 wasn't nominated. With Helen Mirren and Harrison Ford. Landman wasn't nominated. Billy Bob Thornton's on that show in its second season, doing really well. Helen Mirren did snag a nomination for her work in a different Paramount Plus show, though, because she appeared on Mobland. Mobland is that show with Tom Hardy. Harrison, they said, was not eligible this year for his role in Apple TV Shrinking. And they're not nominating Sylvester Stallone. And first of all, can we talk about Sylvester Stallone at that Kennedy Center Honors? What is that hair system that he has? That shit looks a mess. He looked like he just came out of the doctor's office and got like in the swollen cheeks thing with, you had the fillers put in and you didn't let your face rest a couple of days before you decided to step outside the house. He looked bloated. So it's like, I don't know who's getting more shit put in that fix a flat put in their face, him or his wife, Jennifer Flavin, who's looking a bit transgenderish. Now, last but certainly not least, another show that was snubbed, one that is taking over the world as we speak until the second half drops on Christmas. Stranger Things. So Stranger Things is finishing its fifth and final season with 0 2026 Golden Globe nominations. It scored 2 nominations for Best TV Series Drama in 2017 and 2018, and 2 acting nods for Winona Ryder in 2017 and David Harbour in 2018, but failed to ever win big at the show. The 83rd Annual Golden Globe Awards will take place in the Beverly Hilton in LA on Sunday, January 11th, airing on CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus. And I do find it interesting that, y'all didn't nominate any Taylor Sheridan shows, but y'all gonna be streaming on the network that built that franchise, those franchises. Okay. So, yeah, but I guess maybe Stranger Things been gone for so long that, they probably forgot to nominate the show. Who knows? But anyway, so That there you have it. I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the Golden Globe nominations? All the people, are you surprised that they were snubbed? Do you even care? Because quite as it's kept, the show was kind of boring. But it's basically fairly entertaining to talk about all those people who didn't make the list. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Speaking of, read that one already. David is crying that he wasn't called about the Netflix, that he felt he wasn't wanted in the bidding, thus he forced himself. David who? Ellison? You're saying that he wasn't called about the Netflix. Why would he have to fit why would he have to be called about the Netflix deal? First of all, you should have known that when everybody put up their first bids, Warner Brothers Discovery is like, okay, now send me your second bids. And your second bids really gotta be how you woo people and all other stuff. How are you all of a sudden talking about he wasn't wanted in the bidding? So he forced himself. No, you're acting like a petulant child who has never heard the word no in your life. Don't let no women around him. I'm happy that Amy Madigan was nominated. She married. Yeah. Shout out to Amy Madigan. One of the things was like when I was watching a movie she was in that was based on a Stephen King book. The Dark Half, I think it was. And I'm looking at her face like, where I know this lady from? She looked familiar. Of course, she was younger. Then I said, Amy Madigan. I was like, bitch, that's on Gladys. Playing the wife. Wake Up Dead Man in theaters near me. Well, I'm sure it is in theaters in New York, obviously, but I got to be like sifting and looking and search. It's be too much for y'all be putting these. You got to really search if you want to see certain things in movies, probably because she's a singer and dancer. So the role wasn't much of a stretch, especially since she can't. Careful. Oh, you switched over because I was like, oh, not you putting your government in the thing. Okay, Swastika Sweeney. That Madonna comment is coming back to haunt Jennifer. Because it's like, girl, you try to read Madonna over Evita, and there was a reason why Madonna got picked for Evita, because Madonna actually has a better range vocally than she does, and she was born for that role. All right. Well, I'll get more into that tomorrow because there were some things I was hearing regarding the whole "it ends with us" situation. Because well, I guess I'll bring it up when I talk about Miss Sydney, because it has to do with Brandon Sklenar, who was who was pretty much pro Blake in that whole situation. Said Hollywood doesn't off the award superhero actors. It's just the way it is, but there have been exceptions. Well, yeah, like with Heath Ledger and that stuff, you said obesity. Another reason why Angela Bassett hasn't won. It was a comic book movie. Well, that's dumb because it's like, so you're gonna have her over Jamie Lee Curtis? I was like, mm. I'm like, look, Heath Ledger won for playing the Joker, so you can't give it to Queen Ramonda. All right, y'all. So now let's get into this Paramount mess. So apparently, I'm sure you already heard because it dropped on Friday. The one time I couldn't even do a damn show to break the news. So yeah, everybody was pretty much shocked that Netflix was the one that nabbed the deal to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery, which I'm hearing that probably won't go into effect until about the end of 2026, going into 2027. So we got enough time where we could see how all these chips are going to be moving around and what's going to happen. But of course, with all that being said, a lot of people, when we started hearing about this, everybody's panicking. And I think even as someone who's a consumer like myself of cinema, as well as I am a streaming connoisseur, which I mean, not connoisseur, well, a streaming consumer, like I consume a lot of content and stuff through a lot of streaming services, especially with like HBO Max. So we're wondering, like, okay, so we have Netflix, but what's going to happen with HBO Max? What's going to happen with a lot of the IPs of Warner Brothers Discovery? So they was thinking like, okay, so you have Netflix. That means once you have acquired Warner Brothers IPs, that we could see like Batman versus Superman, and you could see all the Warner Brothers IPs. You could see Sinners. You could see uh Final Destination, Bloodlines, all the Warner Brothers own IPs on Netflix, which is cool because it's like if I as somebody who has Netflix, I can go over there anytime and watch that stuff. Also, some of the animated shows from DC or and all that other stuff. So it'd be cool to see like how all that works out. But people are relatively confused. So the Hollywood Reporter actually did a story, what I thought was fairly interesting, on some of the questions that people have. So there, as one of the first questions, will this thing work? It says Warner Brothers has, to put it mildly, as humanly possible, fraught history with corporate mergers in the 21st century. So yeah, so when Warner Brothers Discovery, announced that it would split off the network businesses minus HBO and Classic Movie Channel, Turner Classic Movies, which I actually like Turner Classic Movies, some of the old films and stuff that's on there. They were putting that in a separate company, making the start of the third undone merger involving Warner Brothers in less than 20 years. The company, as y'all know, or maybe you don't know this, but AT&T acquired, well, I should say this, AOL acquired it in 2009 and AT&T in 2021. But AT&T ran Warner Brothers Discovery into the ground. They did not know what the hell they were doing over there in regards of like, um, how to make movies, how to deal with IPs, that sort of thing. So then Discovery came in and took Warner Brothers off of AT&T's hands. David Zaslav, came on and pretty much breathed some life into the studio and made it worth something. So that's all. So I love the fact that he came in and did that. Now he's trying to send it off to other things. And I know a lot of people are scared about Netflix. And trust to believe, I've got my trepidations as well, especially with a lot of the things that Ted Sarandos has said, where it's like, they're not interested in releasing things in theaters. It's like, well, wait a minute, what are you doing? If that's what you want to do with your trash ass movies over there at Netflix, and y'all do make a lot of crap. Every now and again, you'll find a diamond in the rough, but for the most part, a lot of y'all movies are straight up garbage. Um, except Frankenstein was a good one. Extraction 1 and 2, those were good. But when you sifting through all the other mess, 9 times out of 10, Netflix's movies is trash. But if you're going to come on board and take on Warner Brothers Discovery, I understand Netflix, you don't have a studio, and that's probably what it is because you're all about content. But if you're going to acquire Warner Brothers, and I'm hoping that this goes through, and if it does go through, that you'll allow the studios to do what studios do. Put your in on the Warner Brothers lot. Let Pam Abdi, Mike DeLuca, James Gunn, and Peter Safran do what they're doing over there and create IPs and get those movies in theaters because we still need theaters. I still love the theatrical experience. I want to be able to see like really cool, visually stunning films like The Batman or Supergirl, which I don't think you're going to be messing with those films because your whole thing doesn't take effect until I think, like I said before, next year. So everything is good for now. Clayface, Woman of Tomorrow, or Supergirl. I was going to say Woman of Tomorrow. That was the original name. The Batman parts, all these other things. That's not y'all's stuff. So I'm hoping that we can see those things in theaters. I understand, like, we have a greater experience because TVs have gotten better looking. Sound bars are sounding much better than when you go to the movies. The movie theaters can be a little outdated in a lot of their stuff. People have their little their new couches or whatever that heats up your butt or they vibrate or whatever it is. Like people have created their own movie going experiences in their own home. But I love going to the theater and having that experience of like seeing something on the big screen and having things pop out at me and all that other stuff. So I still want to be able to keep that. And I'm hoping that y'all stick to that because they're saying that but you're also talking about shortening the windows. And I'm like, shorten to what? I mean, we already got movies coming out on streaming and at home digital rentals or whatever, almost a month in after theatrical release. So I'm a little worried about when you're talking about shortening. I mean, shorten it to what? So you talking about that now that you're going to own Warner Brothers, that you're going to do like you be doing to your Netflix movies? What is that? Well, in order for you to be eligible for Academy Award consideration, we're going to put, let's say, for example, because it hasn't been created yet. Let's say that the deal goes in and they finally get The Brave and the Bold off the ground, right? So I only got a 2-week window to see The Brave and the Bold starring Brandon Sklenar. Yes, I'm casting it. Starring Brandon Sklenar as the Cape Crusader for 2 weeks before it comes on digital. When you do that, what's the point of me going to the movies? Movies are not going to survive and thrive that way. You have to give things a chance to do what it does, and when the numbers start to dip down, then it's like, okay, we got to get it out on digital, and all the other things. So then the next thing they went on and said, will the deal pass regulatory buster? That's the $83 billion question. And not just in the US. Netflix and Warner Brothers both have huge international footprints, and regulators from the European Union, Asia, and elsewhere will likely weigh in. In the US, it will subject to antitrust scrutiny. Democratic Senator Elizabeth Warren has already called the deal an anti-monopoly nightmare. And on the other side of the aisle, Republican Senator Mike Lee said a deal would raise serious competition questions. That wasn't the only one that said something, too. Bernie Sanders went and said something. I think I have his tweet in here. Hold on, let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah. He said, in an authoritarian society, a handful of oligarchs own the media. Here's where we are in America. Musk owns X. Zuckerberg owns Facebook and Instagram. The Ellisons own CBS, and now they want TikTok. Bezos, or as I like to call him, Bozos owns Twitch and the Washington Post. Now Netflix is swallowing Warner Brothers Discovery. This is not just another corporate merger. This is about the growing out of control concentration of ownership over the media at a time when six major conglomerates control what 90% of Americans see, hear, and read. Oligarch control is getting even worse. The Justice Department must step up, enforce our antitrust laws, and break up these monopolies. The future of our democracy depends on it. And when you got somebody who can, it can easily be bought. I don't know who's the bigger whore, Donald Trump or Melania. But I'm starting to think Trump is the bigger whore. Except he never had to take off his clothes to get what he does. All you have to do is kiss his ass, play around in his little head because the alleged Alzheimer's. He got the signs. We seeing it. I mean, who else be going to getting MRIs every couple of months unless you got something going on up here, which is not much. But when you got to go around and kiss his ass and be flattered, give him flattery and all this other stuff, and they said that Ted Sarandos went and had an hour meeting with Trump and schmoozed him, probably kissed his ass, threw a little couple of dollars in his because he could easily be bought. And then he goes on and says the other day, I think it was yesterday, that neither one of them are my friends. They're not like real good friends of mine or whatever. So it's like, but then we also heard behind the scenes, especially from Marjorie Taylor Greene, which I was working a tennis match yesterday at the Garden. Anna Wintour was there. First of all, she looks fabulous in person. And there was a woman that was sitting in my section, and I'm looking at her. I'm like, is that Marjorie Taylor Greene? Because I was having conversations with her, and she was saying shady stuff, and I'm like, she's giving me the Marjorie-ism. She looked like her, but I don't know if that was her. If Marjorie, if you was in New York and we had a conversation, how you doing? I was like, I would have gagged if that was because sometimes you see people on TV that you meet them in person. I'm like, I don't know. Because now they put me on the floor and stuff, dealing with all the people. So yeah. So um those are my fears and all this stuff. I forgot what I was talking about. But yeah, so Trump said he don't know them people. They're not necessarily his besties or whatever the case is. Like, okay, whatever. So um we'll see if it passes all that stuff. But yeah, I don't like the idea that we have corporations swallowing up all our media. But I wonder if he would have said the same thing if the Ellisons would have owned Warner Brothers. Because it's like, you already got Paramount. We see what they turned the CBS into. They're trying to turn that into MAGA Light. Y'all about to have Erica Kirk pop up on that channel. You got Bari Weiss over there with her Zionist propaganda agenda. And also, David Ellison makes no qualms about the fact that he's a Zionist. So when you got people over there pushing their pro-Israel propaganda, and that big wide back bitch Hillary Clinton did the same thing recently, and you corporate centrist Democrats wonder why y'all keep losing elections because y'all still trying to be pro-Palestine and anti-Palestine, pro-Israel, which are ideology because the IDF is paying y'all a whole lot of money. We're gonna get into another clown later on. We talk about Pharrell coon ass taking IDF money, tap dancing and performing happy at an IDF fundraiser and raising $60 million for them. So when you have things like that, it's like, yeah, you have people out here who are trying to propagandize our media and our news and our films. Because I was watching a Tomorrow War yesterday with Chris Pratt. Yeah, don't throw tomatoes at me because yeah, I'm shocked I was watching a Chris Pratt movie. um When I was watching that movie, because I was like, and then I'm hearing all the surround sound stuff in my headphones and everything. And then I read produced by, it said produced by David Ellison. And, he like the old military movies. Now, another thing, they say, how will it affect workers in the creative community? Now, layoffs pretty much always follow a corporate merger, and there's no reason to expect anything different in this case. The scale of them won't be determined until and if the merger goes through, but Netflix and Warner Brothers both have huge workforces in LA and around the world, and it's likely that a lot of people will lose their jobs. Yeah, that happens with every time there's a merger. I mean, look, one of my friends yesterday said that he met up with a couple of the Drag Race girls for season 18, which I told you I'm going to be doing that after I do this show. So I have to go do the premiere. And he said that he was photographing some of the girls and was talking with them and all this other stuff. And a lot of people, because David Ellison, since he acquired Paramount, RuPaul Drag Race is part of Paramount or Viacom. And a lot of people lost their jobs. So yeah, it's bound to happen. It's going to be a lot of layoffs, and it's unfortunate. So, and then we should also point out that, yeah, Hollywood's labor unions have also expressed grave concerns about the deal. The Writers Guild of America said in a statement that this merger must be blocked and that the world's largest streaming companies swallowing one of the biggest competitors in what antitrust laws were designed to prevent. The Directors Guild of America said the deal raises significant concerns for its members, and the Producers Guild of America, a trade group rather than a union, also said it was concerned about potential effects of the deal. And this is, when you have somebody in office who's just going to cuck themselves to billionaires and billionaires, and you have all these antitrust laws, you have an administration who's breaking every law known to man. What do you expect? Things, and people are trying to take as much as they can while they can do it. And then, of course, it's going to be caught up in you're going to be covered up in litigation for years and years. Now, they said, how will Netflix's culture combine or clash with those HBO and Warner Brothers? If the guiding philosophy behind Netflix series is gourmet cheeseburger, a coinage attributed by Jenny Howe, then a VP and now head of US and Canada scripted series, HBO might be considered fine dining, synonymous as it is with prestige TV. Netflix is primarily in the volume business, producing dozens of shows across just about every TV genre, from drama to true crime to Is It Cake? And that's the thing that we have to look at with HBO Max. HBO Max is something, or HBO Max, whatever you want to call it. When you look at them, they are like the creme de la creme of content. They don't just create uh quantity. They're not just creating 500 million programs, throwing it on their streaming service, and whatever works, works. Whatever doesn't, we cancel it because we're in the business of algorithms. That's Netflix. Netflix will sit and throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at the wall. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. HBO is something that is like, yeah, they take their time with stuff. When you look at it, it's like you got Sex in the City, you got The Pit, you got House of the Dragon, we got the what's it called? Night of the Seven Kingdoms, this new show that's coming out that I'm really looking forward to. There's so many different, you have the White Lotus, you have all these different shows on HBO, and it's like each show, and Welcome to Derry, you have all these different shows that, oh yeah, and then the homosexual show that we're gonna be talking about. Um, Heated Rivalry. So yeah, they're not someone that just throws whatever out there and it is what it is. They really take into effect, okay, this might be an interesting show that works for us. We're gonna take a risk on this. We'll put it up there. If people like it, they like it. If it's trash, we'll cancel it. Man, for the most part, people trust in HBO. So they said one model Netflix and HBO could look to is FX's place within Disney. FX serves as a prestige TV brand with the Mouse House, and John Landgraf and Company are largely left to their own devices to make the shows they want. HBO is an even bigger brand and probably carries more value in being an add-on to Netflix rather than a subsidiary of it. And I do agree with that. That follow the motto of FX. FX on Disney. I have the FX, of course, on because I have Hulu and Disney, that sort of thing. So you have FX as its own thing. Let them do what they do over there. If Netflix, of course, is going to be acquiring Warner Brothers, have the HBO add-on. Now the question remains, how does that affect my bundle situation? Because I have HBO, Disney, and Hulu as a situation. So does that bundle go away once HBO becomes a part of Netflix? And if HBO does become a conglomerate of Netflix as its own little hub, where you can just click on it and it says, they have the little hub thing, you click on it and you go and check out whatever shows, movies, and stuff is in there. Does this actually mean like the price of Netflix is going to go up? Just a genuine concern that I'm curious about. Now, they also said, will David Zaslav have a role in the company? Well, they say he became a Hollywood villain for his handling of the Warner Brothers Discovery merger, his enormous paydays. And oh, yeah, that's another thing, too. Is like he's been taking a lot of coin. So, yeah, it's great that he was able to get HBO making it, Warner Brothers Discovery making it worth something again. But yeah, those paydays that he was taking at the top every year, ridiculous. People didn't like the whole idea of him merging Warner Brothers Discovery. And so there's a lot of stuff about that. Does he even care about the franchise? Does he even care about HBO? It's like now it's worth something. You're just gonna pass it over to the first thing. But I definitely hope that with him selling off the company, that'll be worth something, and they don't mess it up. Now, speaking of Ted Sarandos, because we should get into this situation, he does want to assuage our fears that Netflix will not collapse theatrical, which I will say this, I am side-eyeing it, but let's entertain the shenanigans. So in the wake of freaking out the industry and theater owners with its winning bid for Warner Brothers on Thursday, following by Paramount's household takeover proposal this morning, Netflix co-CEOs Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters jumped on a Wall Street call again on Monday to pour cold water on the fire, specifically was it fire and ash, as it relates to theatrical. They said, in this transaction, we pick up 3 businesses we're not currently in. So we have no redundancies currently. One of them is a motion picture studio with a theatrical distribution machine. We're deeply committed to releasing those movies exactly the way they would release those movies today, said Serranos, about staying true to the theatrical model once the streamer snaps up the 102-year-old motion picture studio. I cannot believe that Warner Brothers has been around for over a century. So I was like, yeah, please don't kill Warner Brothers. It is a prestigious company and a huge staple of Hollywood. Just don't mess it up because you're in the business of IPs and algorithms. They said all 3 of these new businesses, we want to keep operating largely as they are, specifying that the other 2 are Warner's TV production businesses and HBO. The theatrical business we talked a lot about in the past about wanting to do it because we've never been in that business. When this deal closes, we are in that business and we're going to do it. Yeah, this is something because I said Netflix is kind of like Blockbuster Video, but except in the future, you can pretty much on an app watch as many things as you want whenever you want. They don't have a studio. So you coming in and owning the studio, I just hope that you allow the studios to do what they do, as I said earlier, instead of you just thinking about owning a bunch of IP, having it in the theater for 2 weeks, and then it's already on your streaming service because you're in the business of wanting to see stuff do well in an algorithm. Because K-pop Demon Hunters became more popular when you released it in the theater versus you just releasing it straight to Netflix. Also, with you having uh that other, what is it? When you have Stranger Things, the series finale coming into theaters, that's definitely going to help with your revenue. And we also know that when movies are released in theaters, it makes people believe like, you know what? I didn't see this in the theater, but because I know it was in the theater, that means there's some credence to it that I should probably check this movie out versus something that goes straight to streaming. Usually the way people look at straight to streaming stuff is the same how people look. Well, I guess my generation, I don't know about the new generation. I guess they just is there. People just watch stuff to watch it. But that old school way of thinking with me would be like, okay, if something was released straight to streaming, then I was like, okay, this movie might not be great, so I don't have to get to it right away. There's certain exceptions, but for the most part, that's the overall attitude. Now, since Netflix won the bid for Warner Brothers, which didn't include linear networks, Serrano's hasn't given the exact number when it comes to days for films and an exclusive theatrical window. On Friday, he said he liked to see the window evolve. Today, he changed his tune, probably because they dragged his ass over there. So, why are we talking about evolving a window? Because no. And that's probably got the shareholders worried. It's like, no, what are we evolving into? Because we already have a short enough window. What is it, like 42 days? That's like a month and about 2 weeks. That movie stay in theaters like a good, I guess we could call it like 6 weeks. A movie stays in theaters 6 weeks and already is available at home. So, which means it's like those of us who want to be a part of that water cooler moment, we'll rush to the theaters to see certain movies. But for the most part, people will be like, movies are too expensive. I'll just wait at home and couldn't afford it to come out because we know in 6 weeks it'll be available for me to rent for $30 on Prime Video. And if I got a family of 6 or whatever, or I got a bunch of people, I can have them come over and we could just turn it into a theatrical experience in my house. I got a good, high definition TV, 70 inches, surround sound, reclining chairs. I'm lit. I don't need to go to the movies for all of that. I create this and I can make as much noise as I want. If I gotta pee, I can pause the movie. So he said if we did the deal 24 months ago, all these movies we saw this year do so well for Warner Brothers would have been released in the same way in theaters. I'm talking about Minecraft. I'm talking about Superman. I'm talking about Weapons. I'm talking about Sinners, which kind of makes me think that, to be frank, I don't even think Netflix, if this was under that umbrella, we would probably never seen any of these movies. I could never imagine Ted Sarandos greenlighting a Minecraft or Weapons or Sinners or well, I guess Superman, because Superman is under the Warner Brothers IP. It's familiar. So people know that character. The character is what, almost 100 years old. So, but yeah, I can't see Ted Sarandos being like, Sinners? Yeah, let's be like that. So it said these movies will be released on Netflix through theaters the way Warner Brothers did it before, but with the Warner Brothers operating entity. It's really important the way they create and the way they drive value. We didn't buy this company to destroy that value. Well, I hope that's the case because I'm a little worried. Like I said, based off of your past and your reputation on how you release movies and how you the consummation of how you look at movies. I'm a little on this. You have to realize that that's why a lot of us are side eyeing this. Oh my god, my job is driving me crazy with all of these damn vortexes. But anyway, where was I? I forgot. But to wrap all this up, let's get into the hostile takeover situation because that's really what I want to get into. Because I had to set up all that. I know this is a long video, but it's a lot to unpack with this, and I'm sure it's going to continue to evolve. But let's get into the hostile takeover. So now, of course, and I think that's where that strongly worded letter came from. Somebody leaked to David Ellis that, Netflix is about to take the deal. Warner Brothers is about to agree to the deal with Netflix. David Ellison threw a damn timber tantrum. Word on the street, courtesy of, I think John Campbell revealed this on his show. He said that people at Paramount are pissed because of how he came out about it. It's like, yeah, this is what happens when a man who's never really ran a studio, yeah, you produce stuff. Yeah, you have Skydance and all that other stuff, but you've never been a man who runs the studio. And the way you went about getting all throwing a temper tantrum, trying to go to the shareholders and all this other mess, and now you're trying to do a hostile takeover, like this is some General Palpatine type shit that you're trying to pull right now. And it's kind of corny and you look stupid. So now Paramount, because now you're not going to be able to propagandize CNN like you propagandizing CBS. So yeah, so the whole hostile takeover situation, they said the Paramount offer for the entirety of Warner Brothers Discovery provides shareholders $18 billion more in cash than a Netflix consideration. WBD's board of directors' recommendation of the Netflix transaction over Paramount's offer is based on an illusory prospective valuation of global networks that is unsupported by the business fundamentals. And of course, he's using Arab money to acquire you know because they were in bed with Saudi Arabia trying to get all of them to scrape up money. I even heard Jared Kushner is behind some of this mess. Then they said the hostile offer, which takes the case directly and publicly to Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders, follows a conscientious auction that saw the media giant head by CEO David Zaslav reject successive bids from the David Ellison Company, and last Friday announced a deal with an equity value of $72 billion, enterprise value $82.7 billion enterprise value, to sell the Warner Brothers assets to Netflix for $27.75 a share in cash and stock. Warner Brothers Discovery first spin off its linear television business into a separate public company in quarter threes of 2026. The would-be partners expect the Warner Brothers deal to take 12 to 18 months to close pending regulatory approval. Paramount's proposed transaction is for the entirety of Warner Brothers Discovery, including the global networks segment, of course, because like I said, they don't just want the movies, they want the media. So the person who buys up all that stuff, they control the media. They get to control what kind of information and narrative that a lot of you boomers watch. Because I don't watch CNN. I don't watch CBS. I don't watch ABC. I don't watch linear television. So they'll be able to continue to brainwash y'all, but you're not going to brainwash the newer generation, because the newer generation is not even watching linear television. They're not watching legacy media. They're getting their information from the internet. When we had the other day, you have those, the crazy Republican types, the maggots, all the other stuff, and you got the MAGA lights, like what's her name? Like Hillary Clinton most recently, and some of the others that say, oh, these kids are getting their information from, they're getting all their misinformation from the social media. I'm like, bitch, and you wonder why your ass lost to Trump. Because people would rather an idiot in the White House than a goddamn Zionist. Okay. So now they also wanted to say Paramount's strategically and financially compelling offer to Warner Brothers Discovery provides a superior alternative to the Netflix transaction, which offers inferior and uncertain value and exposes Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders to a protracted multi-jurisdictional regulatory clearance process with an uncertain outcome along the complex and volatile mix of equity and cash. Warner Brothers shareholders deserve an opportunity to consider our superior all-cash offer for their shares in the entire company, a public offer, which is on the same terms we provided to the Warner Brothers Discovery Board of Directors in private, provides superior value and a more certain and quicker path to completion. We believe the Warner Brothers Discovery Board of Directors is pursuing an inferior proposal which exposes shareholders to a mix of cash and stock, an uncertain future trading value of global networks, linear cable business, and a challenging regulatory approval process. And this is all coming from David Ellison. But here's the thing, sir. You have the opportunity to present something to them, and they decide to go with a quite different offer. And also, I don't think David Zaslav liked the fact of you trying to strong arm and bully him into your deal. So he's like, oh, this is how you coming at me with this strongly worded corny ass letter? Oh, sit and spin, sir. So here now what we're going to do is I'm taking the deal with Netflix. Ted Sarandos, of course, went over there to schmooze your boy Trump when you were trying to do the same, when you had to do the same thing to acquire Paramount. And now you mad because the outcome didn't go the way you wanted to go. So to me, I look at David Ellison as that kid that daddy never told him no in life. And now that you're in a situation, now you want to sit and get on the floor. It, I was like, why are we channeling Rhoda Penmark all of a sudden? Like, you giving me the bad CTs, you're acting like a damn child, throwing a temper tantrum, and not getting your way. Well, sir, everything don't work out the way you wanted to, and that's just the name of the game. This is, as they say, not show friends, this is show business. So according to Discussing Film, they said this tweet. Paramount, or yeah, it was a tweet. So it's a Paramount CEO, David Ellison, sent a text to David Zaslav after they made a hostile takeover bid today to buy Warner Brothers, saying, David, I appreciate you're underwater today, so I want to send you a quick text. No, despite the noise of the last 24 hours, I have nothing but respect and admiration for you and the company. Well, you have a funny way of showing it. Now you're trying to do a hostile takeover and things like, oh, I have nothing but respect and admiration for you and the company. However, I'm trying to take over your company because I don't like the fact that you're going with Netflix and not with us. Where they do that at? So they said it would be an honor of a lifetime to be your partner and to be the owner of these iconic assets. If we have the privilege to work together, you will see that my father and I are the people you had dinner with. Well, I'm sure you had dinner with a lot of people, but he don't like you and your damn daddy. And he probably is saying, like, I don't like the fact that you're trying to strong arm me into doing something that I'm just not comfortable with doing. So, sir, take your L, accept the fact that you lost the plot, you lost the fight, and he don't want to do business with you. So, um, moving on. That's all I got to say on that. So yeah, I'm just like okay, I'm ready to move off on this thing because this is just too much. I just feel like I'm just going around in circles. And yeah, I'll definitely keep you guys abreast of the story as it develops because I'm sure there's gonna be way more coming out. This is not ending anytime soon. We got Paramount over here throwing a goddamn temper tantrum over the fact that they didn't get their way. Hopefully, we still, it sticks with Netflix. To me, I feel like this is all messy. I don't like any of these situations. I really wish Warner Brothers just don't sell at all and just keep doing what they do and just try to continue to build up their value through Mike DeLuca, Pam Abdi, Peter Safran, and James Gunn. Let them do what they're doing over there. Keep doing what you've been doing because this has been a great year for Warner Brothers regarding all the IPs that you've been putting out lately. Hopefully in 2027, y'all can keep that streak going and just keep doing that and stop being so quick to try to sell. I know y'all got debts. Just work them off a little bit. But all this hostile takeover mess is just pathetic at this point. So I want to hear from you all. Whatever your thoughts on this story, and there's a lot regarding this story. Let me know in the comments your overall thoughts down below. Mm-mm-mm. European Union will force Netflix to sell HBO Max because you can't have two services. Absorbing is not an option. Um, like I said, it's like probably what they're gonna have to do is absorb HBO Max, make it a hub within Netflix, and let them do what they've been doing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it over there at um Netflix. I mean HBO Max or yeah, HBO because they went back to that stupid name. HBO Max always been Max, HBO Max, same shit, different toilet. Say it was a fair offer. Gas prices, parking prices, snack prices, all the prices, over prices. That's what we should say. Yeah, a drink and popcorn cost 25. Yeah, because I ended up getting concessions, which I don't normally do when I went to go see Kill Bill, but I was hungry, so I had to get something. So with the large drink, chicken tenders and fries, that should cost me almost $30. And because it wasn't part of the A list, I had to pay the price for the ticket. And the ticket was like 22. So many kids watch things on YouTube more than TV. My niece and nephews mostly watch YouTube and Netflix and Disney Plus. It's funny because it's like I'm not even a child and I watch more YouTube. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is. More kids are on. It's like you watch YouTube more so than you watch, and that's where everybody's getting their information from. Political information and all kinds and entertainment news. Like I know people watch this channel for their entertainment news and stuff. We delivering the news better than the Entertainment Tonights and the Access Hollywoods. All right, so now, child, let's get into this mess. Let's talk about swastika Sweeney. So apparently, it looks like Miss Mama's career is in the toilet because she decided to cook herself to them goddamn MAGA incels, and she shocked, or as Whoopi Goldberg like to say, Shaka did that her career is pretty much flopping before our very eyes. So yeah, so the other day, well, not even the other day, a couple of months ago, remember, she did a GQ interview and she was given every opportunity. You know, when it comes to white people, they love trying to find a way to finagle their people out of situations. And she gave her every opportunity to clean up this mess about the whole Gene situation because she was, and people were kind of looking at it as like, yeah, you're doing like these racist dog whistles. And it was because when you're talking about your blue eyes and all the other stuff, yeah, you're talking about eugenics. So you can't sit up here and try to act obtuse. Like, oh my God, I didn't know that was about eugenics. And even though y'all could play up your little, palm isms when you could pretend like, oh my God, your racial blind spots. But, oh, I didn't know. That's the way people took it. I sincerely apologize. That's not what I meant. I just took a check and, I wasn't paying attention on something because that's not my experience. And a lot of times when it comes to white people, that isn't y'all experience. So they don't understand about racial blind spots and all other stuff until you tell them. And then when you learn, you know better, you do better. Or you can continue to be an airbrain like this dumb bitch with her Karen haircut. So or as I wish I would have had the one with that horrible ass hard, I don't know how much Aquanet they put up in that hair, but that hair looked crunchy. When she went on, she went on one of them award. I mean, those late night shows. I don't even know. It was one of the Jimmys. It's probably Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, Big Nuts. I don't know. Somebody's show she went on, and she had that hard, crunchy ass hairdo, which her stylist, I guess, was trying to read somebody for coming out. I said, "You ain't gay enough to try to come and read us about that bitch's hair, or maybe you are really gay and a hater because for you to make her up over to look like that." You got to have some deep amount of deeply rooted shade within your spirit to be able to do that. Same thing with the person that did Gloria Gaynor's makeup for the Kennedy Center Honors. If y'all haven't seen them pictures, definitely look it up on the internet because she looked a mess. I mean, I've seen drag queens with better foundation. So Swastika Sweeney's Hollywood career is in a free fall, apparently, according to Radar Online, as her recent publicity choices have pushed studio chiefs to quietly sideline her, a shift some are now describing as professional death in an industry where image is everything. The controversy has mounted over the past 2 years, beginning with the viral backlash to her now infamous family's Blue Lives Matter gathering in Idaho and accelerating through a series of public missteps. Insiders have left major producers unwilling to take risks on her. Now, tension intensified after a recent American Eagle advertisement was branded racist for appearing to support the Aryan race worshipped by Hitler, leading it to be seized on by far-right groups as a top ad campaign. Industry observers say the silence hardened perceptions along left-leaning film bosses that Sweeney had chosen her political brand over her career. One of the things that pisses me off about y'all with this stuff, so basically what y'all are trying to say, and if people really pay attention, like pay attention. So anybody who has common sense, who actually has empathy and sympathy for others, who call out bigotry and racism and homophobia and transphobia and all the phobias, that's left leaning. So right wingers are racist, xenophobic, homophobic, transphobic, hate everybody unless you're white and male. So all the races are Republican. Okay. So this is kind of like the overall assumption of what people are trying to say. Because I know Republicans who don't lean and believe in the bigotry and the racism and all that other stuff. But this is what a lot of the media likes to do. They like to create these divisions. They like to come up with this lefty, all this other stuff, or you're a lib, own the libs, and all that. It's like, sit and spin. So I see through the bullshit. I see through the division, and I call out, as y'all know, I call out both sides on this damn channel. So I just hate the way y'all word certain things. So, because they don't want to work with her, or whatever, it's left leaning. I don't know if all the other stuff that Swastika Sweeney was doing, where she decided to cook herself to the MAGA base. A lot of the young boys that live in their basement and jerk off to a lot of videos that they watch on social media. If the basement dwellers were actually getting up off their ass and stop playing games on Twitch and all this other stuff and went to the movies to support her horrible ass films, I don't think they'd be having this conversation about left leaning people who don't want to work with her. The fact of the matter is she's not making studios money. And this is, as I said, show business. This is not show friends. You know how many white girls with blonde hair and blue eyes and big tits they can come across? A dime a dozen. So Sydney Sweeney just looked like your average white girl. Yeah, she'll continue to get more opportunities, but there's a million of girls that look like her that they could find. And if that girl, the next girl that's on the come up with blonde hair, blue eyes, and big boobs, can open a movie, Sydney who? Sydney what? Okay. So one studio exec strategist said executives feel she keeps doubling down on the wrong headlines. Her whole PR plan is being viewed as a self-inflicted wound. People at the top are saying she's making herself radioactive. I like that song. Isn't that about Imagine Dragons? Also, I heard her manager actually ended up at another company, so she lost her manager. I don't know if she got a new one. Well, her longtime manager is no longer with her. Now, another longtime producer said her refusal to address the first scandal was taken as a signal. Like she didn't care how it played. That's when doors started closing. Because she was like, because remember in the GQ interview, she was like, well, if I have something to, I'm paraphrasing, if I have something to apologize for, I'll apologize for. And now, because she has this new movie coming out, The Housemaid, which is based on is a #1 novel. A lot of women love that book. And here's the thing. Swastika Sweeney done fucked up the situation because she was cucking herself to the wrong gender. So while you out here with these little boys getting hard-ons over some blonde shit that they rather see make OF videos than an actual theatrical movie release. She should have been pandering herself to the female fan base, kind of like what Blake what's her name? What we call her? Ku Klux Khaleesi Lively should have been doing before she messed up This Ends With Us. Or It Ends With Us. I'm thinking of This Is Us and It Ends With Us. I merged both the movie and the TV series. So when it comes down to that, that's what she should have been doing. She should have kind of been pinning herself to, like, you should have been making yourself like the Taylor Swift of cinema. You should have been cooking yourself to the young white girls and all the other stuff, or the girls that like, stuff. No, that's what she want to do. She want to cook herself to a base that don't get up off their ass and leave their mama house to go to the movies. And where are they? You released 3 movies this year: Eden, Christie, and there was another movie that she really damn, I forgot the name of it. But anyway, she released 3 movies this year. It'll probably come to me. Y'all know it does, because I'll be drawing my blanks. And they all flopped. They also said that they also started talking about the fact that she grew up in a conservative household in Kentucky, and as many people do, adopted her parents' politics. And there had been the resurfacing of her 2024 voter registration as a Republican in Florida, by the way, I should point out. Those revelations, according to insiders, made her a persona non grata in many progressive circles in Hollywood. A casting exec said Hollywood has a long memory. After that Idaho incident, people stopped attaching her to major projects. And here's the thing. I get the fact that you grew up in Kentucky and and as many people do, we do adopt the policies of my parents. I'm sure that when I was growing up, I adopted a lot of the policies of my parents. My parents are like centrist Democrats. And now these days, they don't really know unless I'm literally having these conversations, telling them about, because they watch The View, they watch the regular linear news and all that stuff. And literally, if I'm in a room with them and I have these conversations, I'm literally telling you about the more progressive stuff that's going on. And they're getting it and they're understanding it and they're seeing it because I'm pointing it out to them and I'm giving them the reference points. But when you're younger, it's like you don't know much better. You just go by what your parents tell you because you feel that your parents are telling you what they're telling you is the right thing. So when you get older and you start to go out into the world and you broaden your horizons, and she has no excuse, because if you're going to get in more of something that is perceived as a liberal corporation type situation like Hollywood, where you're encountering a lot of people who are diverse. So what you learn in Kentucky and you come over to LA and you in a more liberal type of place where you get to see LGBTQIA plus people, you're around Black people, you're around Latino people, you're around everybody that ain't necessarily white, blonde hair, blue eyes, like you would see in Kentucky. You see all the people that left them areas that are in LA trying to make it and get away from those racist, backdoor, inbred ideologies, and you coming over here. So that world's going to open your eyes. You're going to broaden your horizons, and you're not going to be you're evolving more in your ideologies. But if you're coming over here still with them conservative talking points, and you ain't evolved as a woman or as a human being, oh, you're not going to last long in this business. You might last long if you decide to go make movies for Candace Cameron Bure's company, or if you want to start opposite Karen Sorbo and one of them straight to streaming flicks, or you can go hit up that mail order whore Mulania, because apparently she got her production company. She talking about she gonna be making movies and things now. I don't know what she know, but she's going to be making movies about the thing or whatever it is that she. Remember, did y'all see that video? Speaking of which, Melania, did y'all see that video of her where she was reading to kids? I was like, vampire out here reading to the kids. Reading is fundamental, but not for her. So, with all that being said, oh wait, there was another thing that an executive said. So let me get to that, and then we'll get to her apology tour. So they said a veteran talent agent explained there's an unspoken rule. You could be anything privately, but publicly identifying as conservative is now career quicksand. It puts her further out of the room. And that's true. I'm sure that there are a lot of people, trust and believe, that work in Hollywood that y'all love, but behind the scenes, they voted for Trump. They believe in a lot of those those corporate centrist ideologies or whatever the case is. They real conservative behind the scenes, but on camera, oh, I'm the most liberal, whatever, whatever. And yeah, play it up, fake it. That's what you're supposed to do in Hollywood. Hollywood is one big phony situation. that I like to dismantle and let y'all know the tea because I'm messy. But for the most part, yeah, you come across people who have conservative views, and if that's your views, that's your views. But you shouldn't make your views public because the minute you do that, you pretty much hooked yourself into a corner. Because once that cult has dissolved, and trust and believe, MAGA will dissipate once Trump leaves Earth because he's the only one that's able to keep that momentum going. Everybody else tries to adapt his ideologies. It don't work. People apparently see through it, but they can't see through Donald Trump's bullshit. It's weird how that happens. Everybody else jumps on the bandwagon, and y'all see through it. But you don't see through it when it comes to Trump. Is he kind of like that? Remember that season of Angel where it was like everybody looked at Jasmine as like this beautiful entity? And who was it that actually saw it through? I think it was Fred. When you saw that she was like this worm creature, it's like everybody sees the big, beautiful, you know, Gina Torres. But then when it come down to it, Jasmine looked like a worm woman. But only very few of us can see the creature for what it is. Kind of like They Live, when you put on the shades and it says obey and all that other stuff. That's what it's giving. So yeah, then it was talk about her being a Bond girl, but I don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, so here was her apology. She said, I did a jean ad. I mean, the reaction definitely was a surprise, but I love jeans. All I wear are jeans, and I'm literally in jeans and a t-shirt every day of my life. Well, that's what she said in the beginning. So now, with the housemaid coming out, now she want to backpedal. And so nobody should be, well, I guess we are kind of subscribed, but people aren't buying it because they're like, girl, you have 5 months. You could have said that 5 months ago. I mean, the whole jean situation. So yeah, so she said this. Wait, let me close this one. And she said, I was honestly surprised by the reaction. I did it because I love the jeans and I love the brand. I don't support the views some people chose to connect to the campaign. Many have assigned motives and labels to me that just aren't true. Well, why didn't you say that then when you did the GQ article? You was like, if I have something to say, then I'll say it down the road. And then when she asked Swastika Sweeney about the overall reaction from Donald Trump, because when he started to assert himself, now you made it political. You made something that was an outrage from people of color who were bringing this up in their TikTok videos and those other stuff. And then it was a back and forth, of course, discourse online. Now Trump is asserting himself in what's going on in pop culture when you're supposed to be as acting as a president. So now that he's made it his situation, now it's become political. And I hate when people say, stop bringing politics and everything. Well, tell him to stop doing it because he's the one that's doing it. So once he decided to open that Pandora's box, then we have to go over there and talk about it. And she was like, it was surreal, which means that she feels like she made it. Now Trump's talking about me. It's a new kind of attention. And then you had a lot of the people who were Trump supporters that were being all pro Sydney and trying to make her the mascot for their base. Now it seems like because his numbers have dropped amongst young men because, of course, the job market is in the toilet. Yeah, the numbers are really bad. Look them up. Now that the youth, the young male market and all the other stuff is turning, demographic, I should say, is turning on Trump. Seemed like Sydney Sweeney's losing that base now. These people are fickle. They love you today and then you're gone in an hour. So she said, anyone who knows me knows that I'm always trying to bring people together. Really? Because I've never seen that happen. I mean, even down to the point we're hearing Zendaya don't even want to be associated with you, and they have the new season of Euphoria coming out. So even Zendaya don't want to be around you. And Zendaya is a biracial child, so she's not going to be associated with you know, some MAGA darling, some MAGA mascot, I guess we should call it. She said, I'm against hate and divisiveness. In the past, my stance has been to never respond to negative or positive press, but recently I have come to realize that my silence regarding this issue is only widen the divide, not close it. So I hope this new year brings more focus on what connects us instead of divides us. Well, that's kind of hard when you have a base that is all about division. That's all about it's the immigrants and the trans people that are taking your jobs and all these other things. First of all, I don't know any white people that want a job picking fruit and vegetables in the field or cleaning bathrooms. So if people want to take that as a stereotype, who the fuck else is doing them jobs? Because I work in corporate businesses where I see those are the ones that's doing those jobs. And those white people rather work in the office, in the cubicle. Now, I don't work in the cubicle. I work at the garden. But for the most part, I'm working with a lot of these people that come into these places for these events. And when I'm working in the events that I'm working at, my department is way different, but when you're working and seeing people who are the bathroom attendants, who are working in food and bev, those are a lot of the demographics that y'all trying to deport in this, especially when it comes to the service industry. So when you're being distracted by the oligarchs and trying to keep us fighting within each other, this is the outcome of that. So as I said, I just feel like this is a BS. Like, you had plenty of time to give an apology in your whole GQ interview, but because you have the housemaid coming out, which I don't know what the budget is, but I'm sure it's a bigger budgeted film than Americana, Eden, and Christie, which all flopped at the box office. I told you it was gonna come to me. The other movie, it was Americana. I couldn't remember what it was, but Housemaid, I'm sure it has a bigger budget. I never saw the trailers when it was on YouTube, but when I went to see Five Nights at Freddy's 2, I actually got to see the trailer, and I was like, this movie actually looks good, so I want to see it. um, so after all of that, yeah, then they wanted you to come out. I was like, oh, this is a big fun. This is a big movie. It's got a lot of money behind it. There's a certain audience that we're trying to pander to see this film. Women mostly. I'm sure a couple of homosexuals, or some people make it a date night, or whatever the case is. So these are the demographics we're trying to hit for this film. And we need you to go on this apology tour because, yeah, your last couple of movies flopped, and we're worried about this may happen with this film. Hopefully it doesn't. And I'm not saying it because it's Sydney Sweeney. I don't particularly care for her. I never really cared for her. Even when she was on Euphoria, I tolerated her, but she was never like that girl that I was, oh my God, I have to see a Sydney Sweeney movie. If she popped up in something that piqued my interest, I would watch it. Like, I like that movie where she played a nun that was pregnant or whatever the hell that movie was. I forgot the name of it. Um, I like that movie that she was in. She's done a couple of movies or whatever, but I never really paid attention until now. All this stuff about her personal life started coming. Now I'm starting to look at her like, I don't like you. So, um, people, they were, like I said, we already went through the whole thing in regards of like her conservative family, the upbringing, all this stuff. Also, I think you even dating Scooter Braun is not even a good look. Like, the perfectly planted, you're outdoors making out with each other and hanging out and stuff. Scooter Braun is a known Zionist. That MAGA makeover where you looking like the Fox News conglomerates. This is just not a good look for you. So, in my opinion, I just feel like it's going to take a lot more than a late condemnation of hate to rehabilitate your tarnished career. So, I don't know what she needs to do at this point. Maybe she needs to disappear for a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, and then people will forget. But then again, like I said, there's so many girls that look like her. If she disappeared for a long period of time, y'all gonna move on to the next blonde-haired, blue-eyed, big boob actress that could do her better than her. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Sydney Sweeney? Oh, sorry, Swastika Sweeney, and the situation of how her career is on the chop. I forgot to put that one up there, but the other headline worked better. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. Imagine 22 for no, it was way more than that. The ticket was $22. Chicken tenders and fries, that came out to like almost 30. That was like, I think I paid like 27, $28. But yeah, that's crazy. He's like, oh wait. I don't know who you referring to as a hater, but I got way too much things going in my life to be hating on people I don't fucking know. And so you said, can we congratulate Kylie Minogue for getting her 11th UK #1 album and her Christmas? Hold on. I had to ban that person because you're not gonna get the last word in on this channel. I'm the one that gets the last word. I cuss you out and then I block you. And said, can we congratulate Kylie Minogue for getting her 11 UK #1 album and her Christmas song about to be her biggest hit since All the Lovers. Well, I don't particularly care for Christmas. I can't stand Christmas. I just think Christmas has just been so capitalized and overrated and it's corny. I don't even feel like Christmas to me, to be honest. But um Christmas is what it is, and there's nothing we can do about it. So, but and I haven't even listened to her Christmas album yet, and that's probably because I'm not in the Christmas mood. But one of these days, I'm gonna get around to it. Maybe on Christmas morning when it is the day it is, I might pop it on just to listen to it. But right now, I'm not in the Christmas spirit. Y'all know my favorite holiday is Halloween. Yes, it's not considered a holiday, but in my brain, it is. So, um, I'm looking forward to. I'm not looking forward to Christmas. I just can't wait for it to come and go, and I can go about my day. But congratulations to her because I'm tired of Mariah and them same tired ass Christmas songs that she be saying. If I have to hear all I want for Christmas is you one more time, I'm gonna pull my hair out by the root. But then again, I might have to tug it a little bit because I don't want no ball spots. I'm so glad I'm a child of a situation where I don't have no balls. So Hollywood is a business, and business don't like risk. Sure don't. She made herself too risky for Hollywood. She can sit and spin just like any other rage baiter. Mm-mm-mm. I will only see the housemaid because of Amanda Seyfried. Even the Brandon guy is now distancing. Yeah. And that was the thing I was going to talk about because Brandon Sklenar definitely is distancing himself from Blake Lively because shout out to Popcorn Planet because he spilled this tea. He basically was saying like, Brandon Sklenar because Paul Feig, who directed or Feig Folk Fum, I don't know how to say his last name, but whatever. Um, Feig Fog Fum. But anyway, so Paul went and did a recent interview where he basically said that he got Brandon Sklenar because of Blake Lively. Blake Lively put a bug in his ear, was like, oh, I just worked with this guy in a movie, definitely check him out. And I think it's because Brandon decided to play Switzerland and was like, oh, everybody's picking on Blake Lively. And he was very much anti Justin Baldoni. He was very much pro Blake Lively at the time. And because he decided to play Switzerland, then and put out the Instagram post and condemning bullying and all this other stuff because he played his cards right. Now he got Blake to use her power and influence to get him on Paul Feig's radar. So then he goes and does an interview. I think it was it with Gail King or one of them? I think I don't know if it was NBC or CBS. I don't know. All the motherfuckers over on these shows look alike. So I don't be paying attention of who's on what show. So he did an interview and he was basically like, I mean, it's NBC because I think Al Roker was on that panel. But anyway, so he went and said it was Sydney Sweeney that put him on the map. That basically was like fighting for him. He's like, me? Like nobody knows who I am, which is true. We know him as the guy from one of the Yellowstone spinoffs. I think it was 1923. He's on that show. So people know him from doing one of the Taylor Sheridan shows, and he was in Drop, which he was good in, and now everybody wants him to be Batman. And so he's like, he's saying it was Sydney. It wasn't Sydney. It was Blake. So now all of a sudden, now you're trying to distance yourself from the situation, sir. Don't become one of those people that you try to play both sides of the fence because now people are gonna be side eyeing you. I mean, they was already side eyeing you when you was all pro Ku Klux Khaleesi. Immaculate was the first. Oh yeah, that's what that was like. Immaculate, and it didn't dawn on me. Yeah, that was the movie where she played the pregnant nun. Yeah, I saw that on HBO Max. All right, so let's get back into the show. We got to move on quickly because I got to get out of here soon. I think within the next hour. But wait, not that one. Let's talk about this moron. So the other day we talked about Pharrell, who basically went on this whole situation where he basically said that he despises politics. It's a magic trick. It's not real. I don't believe in either side because I think when you pick a side, you are inadvertently supporting division. It's like, no. When you pick a side, we know where you stand. When you don't say anything, like what we said about Sydney earlier, when you kind of take like this neutral situation, which you can no longer do in this current climate that we're in, because now the current administration has figured out a way to market politics and make it like this big marketing situation, which is why you see so many grifters jumping on the situation, from the Joe Rogans to the which I actually forgot to mention this. Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro was out here working hard to get best podcast nominations for the Golden Globes. They were both snubbed, by the way. So I forgot to bring that up earlier in the show. So when you have them trying to jump on the bandwagon, when you have Erica Kirk trying to jump on the bandwagon of her husband, and now I'm hearing the numbers for Charlie Kirk's podcast is in the toilet, and rightfully so. He's not here to spew his propaganda that he was paid millions of dollars to do. So nobody wants to hear from some former beauty queen and a wannabe reality star. Like, if the original mouth is not here, then the show is what it is. Y'all got to find a new way to grift your people. Then you got Stephen A. Smith, who knows jack all about some damn sports, now trying to jump into politics and don't know what the hell he's talking about there, just being loud and wrong. Shout out to Sonny Hostet for dragging him on that episode of The View the other day. You know, you get points for that. So, with all that said, so yeah, you don't pick a side, which is what Sydney Sweeney said in her last video, or when we talked about it, it was like, yeah, not realizing not picking a side, it makes it worse. I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, you can't sit up and say I don't. If you pick a side, you're causing division. No, you being silent makes it worse. But of course, the fact that you're a capitalist and you're a DI hire for Louis Vuitton, you don't want to rock the boat because you don't want it to fuck with your money. Because now that you're a part of the 1%, all you care about is your bottom line. So now he's saying that now that diversity is on the table, equity is on the table, now inclusion is on the table. So that makes me, I ask myself, okay, how do I survive? Well, there are Black people here tonight, and in your heart, do you think that is what it is that you do? Do you think you're the best? Do you want the job because you're Black or because you're the best? Do you want someone to support your startup because you're Black or because you're the best? Well, it's funny how you say all of that, especially when we have things put in place where if we had diverse equity and inclusion in the beginning, we wouldn't need a DEI. If they actually gave opportunities to people outside of being white and male, opportunities, we wouldn't have to create DEI programs. We wouldn't have to create things to be put in place so that way diverse people who weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth or feel like they have a leg up because of their Aryan blood, that we wouldn't have to create these positions in order for other people to get opportunities. So this whole illusion of pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is like, Pharrell, something like this, shut the fuck up. Because this is what he did when he went and said with his video, instead of just saying, you know what, I was misinformed. I don't really know what's going on because, yeah, with me working on LV being the creative director, I don't even live in America. Because he don't. Your ass got to live in Paris in order to make all this shit, to make all of this work. So you don't even live here. You don't even, you don't even go here. So you saying all of this, it just sounds dumb. You sound misinformed. And instead of him, per usual, like a lot of these rich folks, you coons like him, Kanye, who the other one? MAGA Minaj, all these other idiots that just because y'all got an extra zero in your tax bracket, that is like you're completely out of touch of what's going on with regular schmegular people. And nobody's criticizing the fact that your ancestors had to pull themselves up and things that they were going through. Nobody's discounting that. But the fact of the matter is you're no longer a part of that situation anymore. You've been able to become fairly successful with your producing and working with some of the biggest names in the music industry. Now you're in the whole fashion game, which quiet as is kept. What do you know about fashion? Just because you know how to throw a couple of clothes together and look good, and because you march to a beat of your own drum and you're unique, and your style and how you carry yourself with the type of music you do. And I love your production. I was a big Pharrell fan or a big Neptunes fan growing up. So when you hear stuff like this, it's fairly disappointing. But instead of him apologizing, because it seems like a lot of these celebrities, y'all are allergic to the truth or to apologies. Apparently, y'all get like sciatica or you get a little red in the face, you probably get a bunch of rashes and warts and all kinds of other stuff. You say, I'm sorry, my bad. I just didn't understand. I wasn't doing the research. I didn't do all the political understandings or what I'm talking about, which I think a lot of them don't do. Y'all just take money instead of researching the where y'all getting that money from or what these corporations are about, which I feel like in this day and age, because of social media and people are so exposed, you need to do research on where y'all be taking money from. We're going to get into Pharrell's association with the IDF after we play this weak ass soundbite this video that he wanted to go and double down on instead of saying, you know what, my bad. I didn't know what the hell I was saying. I was misinformed. And I really don't have my finger on the pulse of what regular schmegular people are going through. So let's play a little bit of this clip and then we'll come. We ain't playing the whole damn thing because it would get me even more tight. But I want y'all to hear a little bit of it and then we'll come back and talk. Please hold.
Sound like this. Since most people don't like to read or do research anymore, sound like this. God is the greatest. Sound like this. I'm from Virginia. Sound like this. You don't know what I know. You ain't seen what I saw. No. You ain't been where I go. I'm from the mud. As a child, nobody's been evicted more times than me. Lights turned off, water turned off, and at times had to pump the water. And I didn't have a name brand sneaker until I was 16 when I could afford them for my first paycheck from McDonald's. Sound like this. They were Adidas, low top, Instincts, the ones with the Laker colors. Sound like this. Don't be fooled by my bourgeois taste and heart. I'm proletariat. In fact, I'm lumpen proletariat. Sound like this. I had to stay on my feet. Sound like this. But I could never walk in the shoes of my parents, etc. All they had to endure while staying on their feet. Or my ancestors who arrived as captives, enslaved, who had no shoes, yet had to stay on their feet.
And I guess according to him, because we can just stop it right there. I think we've heard enough. I guess with him saying all of that, that excuses the fact that he's out of touch with what is actually going on with regular people in the world today. So yeah, it's great that your ancestors had to stand on 8 feet. Quiet as it's kept. I've had jobs where I've had to stand on my feet 8, 9 hours. So, and I'm still alive. I'm still doing things, but it still hasn't kept me from understanding what people who are my peers and what people who make less than me are going through. And I would think that you were trying to understand that too. But you feel like because you're trying to say, oh, well, you don't understand my struggles. I just feel like you don't understand our struggles or what people are struggling and going through today. So I should point this out that where this was at was he was getting Shoe of the Year award for his Virginia Addis Star Jellyfish collab with Adidas at the Footwear News Achievement Awards. So this is what that's what he was basically getting with that whole tight ass speech. But and I should get his title correct. He is the men's creative director for Louis Vuitton. So I just felt like this was please. This is literally like, even though he wasn't loud, we gonna say he was loud and wrong, like Stephen A. Smith. So as I said before, you know what, Pharrell, try shutting the fuck up if you don't know what the hell you talking about. It was like, this Louis Vuitton DEI hire clearly, yet again, is missing the point of why people are clowning you. And if you thinking because you lived poor for a small portion of your life, that it makes you somewhat relatable to so many Americans who are clearly suffering today. When you start removing things like DEI and all this other stuff, it makes it harder for people of color who want to be in a position like a Pharrell to be able to get opportunities. So you're talking about, do you want to get it because you're black or because of you're the best? We all know that in the real world, in a perfect world, I would love to be able to, well, I guess, I don't know. It could be different for me because I'm light skinned, but I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of other people that may not have the opportunity. Where it's like, when I come across a lot of people, with me being charming and I walk in rooms and stuff, I come across as non-threatening. But when you see other people that come into situations where people perpetuate all those stereotypes on them, and all they are is just like, maybe they have the same mindset as me, where it's like, you know what? I work hard. I do all the things that society says that I should be doing, and I've checked all the boxes. I've jumped through all the hoops that I need to jump through, and it's still not enough for me to get in those rooms and get the things that I want to get done. So, Pharrell, let's not act obtuse and act like that you was given a Louis Vuitton gig because you went to FIT, because you have a whole resume of fashion under your belt. You are a DEI hire. And for you to not understand this because you were in a certain tax bracket and you raise money for the IDF, we're going to get to that in a second. So you talk about you not political. So we're not judging your past. Your past is your past, and we understand where you came from in order to get where you are. I'm judging what you recently said regarding, being the best and getting the job you desire, as well as your comments regarding DEI. So you were sitting up here running down your little poverty resume should not, I feel like at the end of the day, it should give you the knowledge that would put you in a position to want to make the changes for a better world. So that way those people that are coming up don't have to go through the same struggles that you went through. But I understand there's a lot of people that come from a place of hurt people. So, excuse me. What they do is, oh, I had to figure it out. So we're gonna let them people behind you, they're gonna have to just figure out how to get in that room too. That's coming from a place of selfishness. If there was ever opportunity for anybody to want any kind of advice, like I never feel like, what's the point of me hoarding that advice? If there was another next generation of people that's coming up and trying to be like, so what's the secret of you doing how you do what you do? I'll give you the pointers. What does it do for me to hoard that stuff in my spirit and be selfish about it? If it helps that person not have to go through the struggles that I had to go through to get where I am today, I don't want the next generation to have to go through that. But I guess, since I come from a place of selflessness, I can't expect everybody to think like I do. So you can't sit up in here at the end of the day and sit up in here and say that you are of the working class when you're pretty much, in fact, wealthier than the average working class person. Especially when you perform for the IDF, who are all about annihilating poor brown people. So for someone who sits up at the end of the day and claims that they hate politics, didn't you help raise $60 million for the IDF and was paid to sing that insufferable happy ass song for them? So for someone who sits up and says they hate politics and doesn't take sides, did you actually look into the people you were performing for before you cast that check? Since you have no idea how Google works, let me give a little research. So Israel has on its books a two-tier legal system that is reminiscent of the Jim Crow South in America in how it treats Palestinians. And let's not ignore the systemic obstacles put in the way of Black people in this country currently. So, but since, I guess you wouldn't know that because you're busy living out of the country while you have other people make your shit for LV. So, Pharrell, you say you're not political, but based on your actions, I feel like I'll pick a category for you. You're a capitalist. Just say that you're a capitalist. You're all about your coin. You're all about your bottom line. You're a part of the 1%, and that's all you give a damn about. But you can't say that because you don't want to upset the people that getting your little money and your little opportunities for. Them white people that feel like, oh yeah, well, because we give a little money and we donate, that's going to get things done. Maybe in their head, they think that that's what's going to happen. But the reality is we don't need no more donations. We need action. We need changes and things that are really going to help people to get the opportunities, the fair shake that they should be given, not because of the color of their skin, but because they actually work hard. But y'all put things in place because y'all know how that racism situation works. And for some of you, I'm not doing blacks, because that's what it gives me when people like Pharrell and Snoop and Kanye and all these others, y'all be like, oh yeah, I know I'm black, but I'm not like those over there. So that's what it's giving with this whole situation. And it's just so disappointing, like when you really look at, and this is why I don't never put celebrities on a pedestal, but the way I look at it, like, it's just so sad when you look at people of color and it's just like the way y'all treat people in this situation where it's just like, it's just disappointing how we tend to look at our own and you expect them to be like, you know what, the good ones got through or whatever. And then when they start to speak on things that have to do with what's going on in the world, it just becomes more and more and more of a disappointment. So at this point, it's like, you could ignore it and don't and want to take a neutral stance or whatever. That would have been cute 10 years ago. That was cute 15 years ago. I would even say it was probably cute 3, 4 years ago. But when we're in a situation where the climate is different now, you got fascists standing at your doorstep ready to kick in the 4-4, kicking the door, waving the 4-4, and millions of diverse lives are on the line, especially with Latinos being deported and so many other things going on, and so many things being dismantled, and people losing their jobs at an alarming rate, and the economy about to go into the shitter, and we might be going into a depression. You can't sit up here and play neutral Nancy. That was cute back then, but not now. But I guess you can do it because you're wealthy. You're part of the 1%, and this is not going to affect you because you're good financially. You're protected for now. So I feel to say clearly, yet again, another one loud and wrong. Pharrell just continues to disappoint me the more he opens his damn mouth. So soundbite that. So now I want to say to you, what do you guys think of this story regarding Pharrell? Of course, per usual, another celebrity missing the plot. Whatever your thought on this story is, let me know in the comments down below. Okay. Pharrell's a reflection of many black celebrities and capitalists, just loud, proud, and dumb. Okay. Sure did. Khalees warned us about that man. And everybody was like, Khalees need to go out there. I said, Khalees is fine. Khalees now living, where she live in? Nigeria? She got her farm out there. She's talking about she got good health care, even though some of the Nigerians said the health care is not good. If you can afford it, then yes. So it might be good for her because she got the coins. But the people that live there, they're like, no, it's not good for us out here. So she's over there living in Nigeria currently. She ain't got time for Pharrell and his shenanigans. Okay. There was a method to her madness when she recorded that song. They have to be complicit because if they do, they'll lose their white dollars from business part. Absolutely. That's exactly why he's doing it. So he got to straddle the fence because he knows what side he tap dances on. And at the end of the day, they're looking for that white approval. They don't want to lose them white dollars. And if you challenge them and speak the truth and say all the things that we know you should be saying, then Pharrell's market value goes down. So that's why I said pick a side, and the side that you should pick is capitalist because that's clearly what you are. That's why I said like you've been famous more than you've been non-famous because you came out like when you right out of high school you were making beats and your career pretty much took off working with some of the biggest names in the business. So you've been famous more than you've been poor, or you've been wealthy more than you've been poor. Like you 50 something years old, so you've been like what 30 years of your life. So, in your teens and everything, you were going through whatever you was going through, you was broke. So you started getting rich. You've been rich for about 3 decades. So you've been rich more than you've been poor. I saw a video of kids in Gaza playing in front of their demolished house. hmm But yeah, they ain't got nothing. So that's what they've been doing. Is like even though, and that's the good one thing I would say about Palestinians. Shout out to y'all. And I hate I be windmilling hard for anybody that's going through any kind of hardship. So um, with everything that's going on with them, bombs being dropped on them, being used as target practice, starved, all the other stuff, these kids are still resilient. And they're still going on living their lives. So shout out to anybody that still do that. Even when you're at the hardest of hardships in your life, you keep that resilience. That to me, like the tenacity of the human spirit, that's always like just an awesome situation. But anyway, let's get back into the rest of the show and let's talk about the Diddler. So I don't know. Have y'all checked out the Diddy docu-series yet? I still haven't watched it because I feel like with everything that was going on with Diddy, I've seen so many documentaries, docu-series and stuff on him. I don't feel like I need to watch this new one. I've been getting enough information where it's like, you know what, y'all giving me all I need to get any damn way. So I don't have to sit down and watch the whole situation. But with that being said, Diddy's mother has spoken out about some of the accusations brought up about her and her son in the Netflix series produced by 50 Shady Petty Ass Cent, where they said that he went and He purposely did an interview with ABC because that's one of the few channels that you get to watch in prison. I said, Curtis, you a shady butch queen. But anyway, so his mother, as I said, Janice denied that the disgraced rapper ever abused her because there was a story that came out, I think Gene Deal said it, that Diddy put pause on his mother when she stepped out of line. She said, "I am writing this statement to correct some of the lies presented in the Netflix." Oh my God, you sound like an old lady when you say in the Netflix. Sean Combs, The Reckoning, released on December 2nd, 2025. This is what she told Deadline in a statement on Saturday. These inaccuracies regarding my son Sean's upbringing and family life is intentionally done to mislead viewers and further harm our reputation. The former teacher's assistant then said Bad Boy co-founder it was Kirk Burrows. I know I got one of them confused. Claims that Sean, 56, slapped his mother as they conversed about the 9 people who were unalived in the 1991 City College stampede. The Act Bad rapper organized were inaccurate and patently false. That was a very sad day for all of us, she told the outlet of the deadly crowd push that took place in an overly packed school gym. I don't believe it was a sad day for your son because he managed to slither his way out of the. And we already know Diddy is a grade A narcissist. That man only cares about himself. So for him to use this tragedy and incorporate fake narratives to further his prior failed and current attempt to gain what was never his, Bad Boy Records is wrong, outrageous, and past offensive. I am requesting that these distortions, falsehoods, and misleading statements be publicly retracted. Well, girl, just like the old dusty $2 wigs that you be wearing on your head, it's not going to happen. Because that's what I don't ever understand about Janice. The amount of money your son has, he don't know no good Asian lady that can get her some good wigs. Like, her wigs be looking a mess. I don't know whose wigs look worse, hers or Swastika Sweeney. You know, that new wig that she been walking around wearing, trying to give Karen tease. But yeah, Janice, you be looking a mess with these wigs. Somebody rack all them wigs up and just create a bonfire and burn them shits and get her some good human hair to put on that head. So he went and said this. I saw Janice question Sean about his future. He's going into the music business thing. He just left school, and now this extreme tragedy has occurred. This is what Burroughs recalled. She's like, did he make the right decision? And I saw him put his hands on her, call her a B word, and slapped her. Burroughs filed multiple lawsuits against Sean, his mother, Janice, and others alleging SA, physical violence, financial fraud, and a conspiracy to seize his ownership stake in the Bad Boy Company. Burroughs claimed that in 1996, Sean, who was allegedly wielding a baseball bat, forced the hitmaker to sign over a 25% ownership stake in Bad Boy Entertainment. Burroughs also sued Janice for allegedly conspiring to assume control of his share and concealing the fraud unlawfully. In March, Burroughs accused the I'll Be Missing You MC of a deeply disturbing pattern of abuse, including unwanted advances of the sexual kind, forced voyeurism, physical coercion, and forced submission between 1995 and 96. In a statement, Sean's legal team denied Burroughs' allegations, saying this latest lawsuit, I should say, filed by Kirk Burroughs, filed by none other than Tyrone Blackburn, as another frivolous attempt to relitigate. I don't know why I was struggling with that word. Claims that have been repeatedly thrown out of the court over the past 30 years. This is according to the lawyers. Despite repeated dismissals, Burroughs and Blackburn are intent on wasting the court's time and resources by refiling dismissed claims and now dragging Mr. Combs' 80-year-old mother into this. Well, his 80-year-old mother decided to assert herself in this situation. And trust and believe, I don't put nothing past Janice. First of all, you gave birth to the Antichrist. So I'm not gonna sit up out here and take the word of a lady with horrible ass synthetic wigs, sitting up here windmilling for her son. Obviously, there's a bias there. So I'm not gonna sit here and believe what this lady is saying, because these are all lies and whatever the case is. Well, look, if you got the coin, call your son up, collect at the prison, Fort Dix. The title of that, there's so many jokes in that Fort Dix title. But call him up, tell him to open up the cash vault or whatever it is that he got his coins tied up in, and file a lawsuit against Netflix. If it's not true. But Diddy is cooked. Nobody's taking any word of Janice. I truly believe that a lot of why Diddy is the way he is because this is a learned behavior that he got from you, especially when he's been exposed to all that sexual stuff that was going on up in that house. When you had pimps and hoes, all the other stuff in your house, you throwing parties. Where you think he got the idea from the freak offs from? He got it from her. Coming up in the house, seeing all them people up in there hunching in all the rooms. And I wouldn't be surprised if them adults did something, male or female, or probably both, did something to him being exposed to all that mess. And you already know back in the days, especially when it comes to black households and black parents, when y'all kids get abused, and I even feel like y'all still do it today, y'all look the other way. Y'all don't want to acknowledge it because these are things, controversial things that people, especially in black households, and I'm speaking specifically to black households because that's my level of expertise because I am a black man. And understanding from things that relatives of mine have confided in me regarding abuse, I know what that's like because I've had these actual conversations. I'm not going to say which relatives because I don't need to put their business out here. But the conversation I've had where they've been SA'd by boyfriends of their parent and the mother because she's so happy she got somebody to sleep next to at night, look the other way. When you expose your kids to certain things, it becomes a repetitive behavior. So him learning all that freak off stuff, oh, you don't think he was going to take that into his actual, when I got money and power and all this other stuff, I'm going to turn it into something bigger and better because I learned it growing up seeing my mother doing these parties? And some of the things that she was into, his father was a damn drug dealer who got unalived when he was a kid. The mother out here acting like she Nichelle Nichols in that movie where Nichelle was a pimp. Remember that one? Getting them whores in line. I forgot the name of the movie, but that movie, the clips I be seeing on social media be having me cackling. But yeah, that's what Janice gives me. So I'm not putting nothing past this lady. I'm not buying what she's selling. And then, girl, I'm side-eyeing you in this whole situation. So this whole little video or this strongly worded letter that you decide to send a deadline, in the words of 50 Cent's ex, Vivica A. Fox, you could put that, well, back there. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what Janice out here windmilling for her son? I mean, what else she supposed to do? I wouldn't be surprised. She know where all the bodies is buried, and she been financially benefiting from her son's shenanigans. So we supposed to take your word for the mess that's going on? Girl, bye. So yeah, I definitely want to hear from y'all. So let me know what your overall thoughts on this story in the comments down below. Child of Ghetto. Okay, so I watched it last week. I binged it. Okay. He said Biggie didn't want to go to California. He wanted to stay out of the drama. Also, he made Biggie's estate pay for his own funeral. Yeah, I heard that too, but then some people were trying to say, oh no, that's not true. I don't put none past Diddy. That's not the first time he's actually said I'm gonna do this, and had someone else foot the bill. So that's why I believe that story. Then did his victory dance on a please. Remember that stupid ass "I'll be missing you" dance that he be doing, twirling on the stage like a big old queen. I was just waiting for her to do cat 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 shabam. I was waiting for her to pop, dip, and spin on that stage. Do a 360 before she do a dip. And so also Rolling Stone was going to put Biggie on the cover as a tribute, but Diddy got them to put him. Yeah, it was like he made it all about him. He wanted to be Biggie so damn bad. But sir, you were good at writing checks, not rhymes. You're not the talent. You were the mogul, but you wanted to be the talent. Not shakingwear.com. That's where she get them horrible ass wigs. Drag Race Queens get better. Okay. And I'm sure I'll be seeing a bunch of them with better wigs tonight when I go to this premiere. I've been seeing people do videos of his dance. Take that. All right, y'all. So now let's see where we're going with this. I believe. Wait, how many more topics we got? Okay, yeah, let's hurry up and power through this because I gotta hurry up and get up out of here. So right. Let's get into our next topic. Let's talk about Kimora Lee Simmons, who is finally breaking her silence about this whole situation regarding her daughter Aoki. I was like, I almost forgot about that whole drama. But yeah, so Kimora's out here recently, um, and she decided to speak out on her daughter dating a man old enough to be her damn father, and how it didn't sit well with her. But she had to learn that behavior somewhere. So she called her daughter Aoki Lee Simmons' brief romance with much older Victorio a soft Predatorial. Simmons spoke candidly about the headline-making 2024 Fling, during which Aoki was 21 while the Restauranteur was 65. That's why I said he old enough to be her damn daddy, and how tough it is to watch her daughter make public mistakes. Kimora noted that the two were not seriously dating and only shared a moment together. He probably fucked her during her appearance on the Not Skinny, Not But Not Fat podcast, dropping Tuesday per people. So that's today, because today is Tuesday. She also shared that she knew Asaf, who was the founder of Serafina Restaurant Group, before he started dating Aoki, who's now 23. So she's saying that she knew Asaf. But here's the question. When you met him, did you ever have your kids around? And it's because, he's a restaurateur. So if Kimora was going to the restaurant and she was probably bringing her kids with her in the restaurant, like a lot of times when celebrities go into places, they go through the back door, they get to the table, the chef comes out, how you doing? All that schmoozing and all that stuff they do. Then they go back in the kitchen, the people in there, oh, thank you, food was great, blah, blah, blah. You schmooze the staff a little bit. And then you go back out the back door, and then you get in your little car and you go about your business. To which, the chefs and everybody rolling there. I was like, whatever, another fucking A-list celebrity giving us compliments. Whatever. The whoop. This is what I was trying to do. But anyway, so they was doing all of that, whatever. And I'm kind of wondering, so was Ming and Aoki with you at the time? Because if they were, I know I've been like, so you was looking at her kids in a way? And then when she got to be a certain age, that you decided to put it up in her for a free dinner, a little appetizer. So she said, I know the guy growing up myself. He's a restaurateur. I don't know. I don't want to get into trouble legally, but I think his reputation probably precedes him. Which is basically what I was saying before I even read that post. Are you trying to tell us this restaurateur is into like girls who are relatively like underage girls, that there might be some pedophilia going on? Because she's saying his reputation probably precedes him, and you're saying you don't want to get into trouble legally, that you knew him growing up. So are you alluding to the fact that there are other girls out there that might have been Aoki's age or maybe younger than that he's, open up their chakras a little bit with his, they tunnel of love. The mother of 5 said she found out Aoki was dating Asaf when the world found out and admitted she was shocked. She said, I've learned all these crazy things. You can't give the I told you so right now, she said about her mindset at the time. You can't give the what the hell are you doing right now? You can't give those things right now. Looking back, Kimora called the romance predatorial. I feel like, and having gone through not exactly the same thing, but similar, would that be from Russell Simmons? That big age gap relationship, let's just call it that. I do think it's predatorial. I think that's predatorial and kind of crazy. Kimora met her first husband in 92 when she was 17 and he was 35. That's why I said, because I remember, I was like, so you talking about Russell? Where it's like, when you're young, you're impressionable, your frontal lobe hasn't developed yet. You're thinking, oh, these people are going to teach me the ropes. I'm going to learn like the business side of everything. So yeah, there might be something budding here, but I see there might be a great opportunity. So let me latch on to that. Whereas you have somebody who's 35 and in their 60s or whatever the case is, they've been around the world and they understand how things work. So these young people are impressionable. These older people know the deal. And now they're in Kimora's ways of saying it, you're being a bit predatorial. So there's a little situation going on here, and now I'm side-eyeing like, okay, so you preying on these kids, and they're just being naive about it. But you have all your intentions set in stone. Now, a source who knows Asaf described him to Page 6 last year as an older man with little boy charm. Well, sir, I mean, there's nothing wrong with having like a youthful spirit about you, but you got to also realize mentally you're not 12 years old. Michael Jackson, grow up. He's also loved younger, beautiful women. He's gotten older, but his taste hasn't changed. Russell didn't appear stressed over the May-December romance at the time, telling TMZ last April of his youngest daughter, all I could do is offer my advice and unconditional love. Well, what could he say, especially with Russell's alleged reputation? Meanwhile, Kimora admitted to the outlet last month that she was embarrassed to see the PDA pics of Aoki and Asaf, whom she likened to not a toad child. She said she's young, she's a young, pretty girl, and I think we don't think the toads we may kiss is going to be broadcast. And I personally feel a little bit like she was set up, which is why I try to teach the girls there's definitely an age dynamic there. Well, I guess some people are like, well, girl, you can't give that advice because you kissed a toad. That toad being a daddy. So how can we take anything Kimora says seriously when you need to be the one to lead by example, especially when it comes to your reputation of the type of men that you've acquired and you got knocked up with. Most recently, the last husband you had, wasn't he rung up on some old white collar fraud charges? So I like the fact that you're trying to look out for your child and you want to be all diplomatic in this situation, but come on, and I like you. Because here's a joke. Actually, one of my friends, Rodney, used to call me Kimora because we have like the half Asian, half black thing going for us. So he used to, as a joke, he was like, yes, Kimora. So that was always my little thing. Well, I'm telling you that now you bitches going to start trying to call me Kimora in this damn show. But anyway, so there was that. So it's like, while I understand you trying to act like you mother of the year, girl, your reputation when it comes to the men's isn't all that, squeaky clean either. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding what Kimora had to say about her daughter? I said I felt like all I need to say regarding that, but I definitely want to hear from y'all. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. What 6 you get? No. So okay, Kiki. All right. So, okay, so now we're down to our final four topics. So before we get to those final four, definitely do me a solid, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Also, be sure to smash that notification button so that way you know when we go live with a brand new episode of Chris Avalon Unfiltered. Please and thank you. Now, without further ado, let's get into another one of our topics. And let's talk about this dude that, was out here that got caught out there with Ariana Grande. So y'all heard that there's this guy that went around. There was a situation that happened with him and Ariana Grande where she was promoting Wicked for Good. He jumped over the barricade, ran up to her, wanted to take a photo bomb and all, wrapped his hand around her. She weighed like 12 pounds soaking wet, and her personal security Cynthia Erivo jumped in and was about to throw them bows on that boy. So what had happened was he did 9 days in jail. He was banned from Singapore, sent back to Australia. So for those who haven't been paying attention, Lady Gaga is currently in Australia doing multiple dates of the Mayhem Ball. And she basically told her security team, and they showed it on a video that I saw. Like, you literally see his face on one of the pictures. I might actually bring that video up for y'all to see if you haven't seen it. But yeah, they have his face on pictures outside of the stadium that if he tries to come up in here and be a part, like see the Mayhem Ball, he is not allowed inside. So he's been banned from seeing Lady Gaga's Mayhem Ball, which I told you I've seen like 5 out of the 6 shows at the Garden. Phenomenal show. She definitely gives a great show. It's a good show. Definitely check it out. But so, according to Pink News, they said the Australian man who accosted Ariana Grande at the premiere of Wicked for Good in Singapore has been reportedly banned from attending Lady Gaga's The Mayhem Ball tour. Johnston Wen was arrested after grabbing the movie star as she walked the red carpet. Oh, sorry, the yellow carpet. They always change the colors at Universal Studios. Cynthia Erivo was applauded for stepping in. Don't even get me started on that whole situation because the way y'all been going online about their relationship has had me cackling. But let's move on. So Wen was sentenced after pleading guilty to a charge of public nuisance. Passing sentence, District Judge Christopher Goh noted that Wen had behaved similarly on previous occasions. When was known online as Pajama Man, frequently posts footage of his public stunts. Notably, he interrupted Katy Perry's gig in Sydney and the weekend's Melbourne concert. So yeah, now it's going to get to a point that now that Lady Gaga has started this, watch every artist that goes to Australia. So the next time Pink decides to go on tour, she'll be like, ban this queen from messing up my show. Because to me, it looked like Pink is not like all these other girls. She ain't gonna look at you. She gonna deck you in your throat. She from Philly at the end of the day. So she's not gonna let you get away with that mess. So, sir, it looks like now it's gonna be at a point where you're not even gonna be able to. The only way you're gonna be able to see concerts is through fan footage on YouTube or TikTok. You don't have to live vicariously through other people because you out here being stupid. Now they're not going to let you in. So now they said with Gaga performing in Australia, some social posts suggest that Wen has been banned from venues where Gaga is performing. One Gaga fan account posted, Lady Gaga's security team issued orders to prevent Johnson Wen from entering the venues due to his recent attack on Ariana Grande and his victory of stage intrusion. So yeah, I do have that video. Hold on. Let me so let me pull that up. It's not even it's like a 8-second video. If you could probably hold on. Let's see if I can pull that video. It was Lady Gaga now. That's who had the video. So yeah, you can see her. If you actually look, you can see his picture. Right here, you can see that crazy hair, and you see the face. You can't read what the note says, but you pretty much have an idea of like, yeah, they definitely got him on paper. And then it said they have a photo of the guy who tackled Ariana on the security briefing. Now you know what me, when I get my briefings and stuff when I work at the garden, I don't have it sticking out where y'all could see exactly what my notes and stuff because we're not what the thing is, you're not allowed to share your notes with a lot of y'all that's coming in. Y'all not supposed to know the information that we're supposed to know. Now, if there's certain things that we want to let you know, we'll tell you. But a lot of stuff that's going on in our notes, we're not supposed to let anybody know that. So I don't understand why he had the paper all out unless he was willing to kind of give that information out there, or somebody was just being nosy, decided to zoom in. So the caption is accompanied by a video that appears to show a security guard y'all saw holding a piece of paper, including a photo of Wen. Gaga opened the Australian leg of her tour in Melbourne on Friday and Saturday night. Her next stop is Brisbane on Tuesday. That's today, December. Oh, today's my grandfather's birthday. May he rest in peace. The Abracadabra hitmaker is then set to conclude the Australian tour in Sydney with 2 nights on December 12th and 13th. Now, when Wen was sentenced, Judge Go outlined, you should be mindful that these are always consequences for one's actions. You seem to be attention seeking, thinking only of yourself and not the safety of others when committing these acts. Now, while Wen may be banned, LGBTQ plus pride flags are not. Fans flocking to see Mother Monster have come bearing gifts and signs, but venue organizers are asking fans to leave them behind. Now, depending on the venue, there are rules in place that ban fans from entering with gifts, flowers, or stuffed toys. The request has been linked to recent incidences where concert goers have nearly hit Gaga with gifts like they're throwing on stage. Now, out of all the Australian venues, Melbourne's Marvel Stadium are most strict. The rules of signs, banners, and flags are very strict. They said no signs, no banners, no flags are allowed. Also, no gifts permitted, including no stuffed toys or flowers. However, there is an exception with a footnote that states pride flags without a pole are allowed. So I agree with that because I understand that during Vanish Into You, she does go on the floor and she goes around and she's singing the song and she's collecting gifts from a lot of the fans who are up front. So now that, of course, a lot of y'all, I understand y'all probably mean well, but but throwing stuff on stage, it's bad. And it's a pretty intricate type show, and you can't have people slipping and falling on things that y'all are throwing on stage, and who knows what y'all bringing up in there. And so, yeah, unfortunately, they can't have all that stuff in there anymore. And also, I already knew, well, of course, me working a couple of her shows, she is very strict in regards of like a lot of things that she wants at a lot of these venues, including like for me and myself, I can't even go back a house with situations because she likes her privacy, all this other stuff. So a lot of us who normally like to float back in back a house because we got to get to point A and point B, we got to change up our route because depending on the celebrity, you know, we have to abide by certain rules because, you know, if they're renting out the venue, they get to have the say so over us. It's not our house that day, it's theirs, depending on how much money they put behind these shows. So it is what it is. And unfortunately, see, young man, you did something stupid. Now look at you. You ain't gonna be able to go to another damn concert in Australia. So I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding the latest news on Johnson Wynn being banned from seeing Lady Gaga and probably other future celebrities who are going to follow suit on this in concert because he don't know how to act because he doing all this foolishness for clout. Hope it was worth it, sir. So let me know what you guys think of this story in the comments down below. This so Cardi B is a guest judge. Yeah, I think I could have sworn I told y'all that. There was a rumor going around that she was gonna be the guest judge in the premiere. I could have sworn I told y'all that. I forgot about it though. Those girls are grown women doing fine. Yeah, they are, but they were kids once. I saw a video of him being dragged out of the show before it started. Oh, so he actually was there. They say he should be banned from all concerts. They said, don't forget how Lady Gaga is getting dragged because the stage isn't a stadium stage, but an arena. Yeah, that's what I was saying too. It was like, that was so dumb on her part that she decided to convert the stage into a stadium situation because her setup, the way it's designed, it is fit for an arena. So when you try to transfer it to a stadium situation, that's money you have to put into. They've got to rebuild certain things, the catwalk, the size of the stage, the opera house setting. Like you have to expand on that. So if it's not initially meant to be a stadium stage, yeah, things are going to look a lot smaller. There were people saying there was obstructive view. I'm like, there was obstructive view in the arena version of the tour. So I wasn't shocked about that. And people really need to pay attention when y'all buy tickets because on it, it will literally say obstructive view. That was the same thing we had with the Sabrina concert. There was so many complaints I got from people. I can't see the show. Can I move? No, it says obstructed view on your ticket. And if you try to go to guest services or whatever and try to change, they're not going to honor it because it's sold out. These celebrities or Ticketmaster, whatever, they're selling obstructed seats, and I think they shouldn't be doing that. Y'all need to cut it off where people could sort of see the stage. Now they're buying a section where it's like you're looking at the side of the wall, and the only way you're gonna see Sabrina is if she comes out on the catwalk. And it's not often a lot of these artists come out on the catwalk and perform. They're mostly doing a lot of stuff on the stage. So a lot of the artists really need to pay attention and be mindful of that. But they're not. It's all about the money with a lot of these people. The video I saw, a guy was like, you know who that is. That's you already know people gonna be out here snitching because they want their moment too. And they're gonna report it to security. That's a dude that jumped Ariana. Get him. And then security goes and escorts him out. Well, I'll have to probably check that out later. So if I would have seen that during the comments, I probably would have pulled the video up. All right, y'all. So now let's get back into the show. And let's talk about Sean Avery. So Sean Avery, who's a former hockey player, is weighing in on this all the controversy. What is the controversy? But all the conversation, the heated conversation um around heated rivalry, which I'm not gonna hold you. I did not see episode 3, but I know everybody's talking about a certain other hockey player that is it's not just these two that are on the side of homosexuality. But I sensed in episode 2 that I was like, oh, there's more than one hockey player that's gonna be getting into some shenanigans. And based off of what I've been hearing, that's what's going on right now. But I'm gonna get hopefully tonight when I get back from the Drag Race premiere, I'll sit down and watch it. That and Dragula, because I still didn't even see last night's episode, and I want to know who won. So hopefully it was a Bora. But they also said so. Sean Avery has said he thinks the steamy LGBTQ plus hockey show Heated Rivalry could be the key to supporting a gay National Hockey League player coming out in the future. The 45-year-old retired New York Rangers star has shared his thoughts on the show and the potential of closeted hockey players coming out. Heated Rivalry charts the rivalry between Canadian Shane Hollander, played by Hudson Williams, and Russian Ilya Rozanov, played by Connor Story. Over the years of their competitive rivalry, they engage in a passionate but secret romance. Now, speaking of Rolling Stone, Avery shared, I don't know firsthand of any homosexual players, past or present. That being said, I do think I must have had a gay closeted teammate at some point in my career. I'm sure you have. And trust and believe, there have been many times that I walk past them Rangers because there's when we have like the driveway and I have to cut across in order to go pick up my device and stuff for the show in case any incidents happen, I got to put it in instead of calling base. I know I'm giving y'all some inside tea, but and sometimes I'll be seeing the Rangers walking up and I'll be looking at them and I'm like, God damn, y'all got some fat asses. And the men are in shape, they're tall, and the cheeks be on point. And so I be sitting looking like the bodies be bodies. So I would not be surprised if there's members. I wouldn't say necessarily. Well, maybe there could be some Rangers members, but sometimes you look at them white boys. I'm like, okay, y'all, a couple of y'all can sit on my face. So Avery said, he said, oh yeah, I did read that part. So he said he also noted that heated rivalry success could open the door for the first gay NHL player if there is one. Now, his comments tie in with the sportsman's long history of libido plus allyship. In 2011, he appeared in a human rights campaign video to advocate for same-sex marriage. Currently, there's no openly homosexual current or former players on NHL teams. However, in 2021, Luke Prokop became the first active player under an NHL contract to come out. Though he's not yet to compete in the majors, he plays for the minor league team Bakersfield. Now, Avery says, I love Heated Rivalry. It's the worst hockey show ever made, but the most incredible gay hockey show ever made. Sometimes I look away from the TV. It's pretty graphic. Now, last week, Avery jokingly posted an analysis of the show on IG. He said, I love the show he captured in the video. However, he doesn't seem to be a huge fan of the hockey being played. He pointed out some moves, but also sarcastically questioned some of the decisions. Notice the coach wearing shoes on the ice during practice. Yeah, you're not wearing shoes on the ice. So when you do a lot of things when it comes to um Rangers games and stuff, first of all, as long as I'm aware, I've never seen a coach on the ice. I've seen like you have the reps and everything, but never like the coach. So it says I'm glad it's acknowledged by a player, but did it have to be Sean Avery? One fan wrote. Avery has been embroiled in several controversies throughout his career, both on and off the ice. He was suspended after making misogynistic comments, one of which ended his career at the Dallas Stars. Avery has also been accused of abusive behavior towards his former wife. Public records reportedly show his ex-wife filed a restraining order against him, which contained details of his alleged abuse of her. So you out here beating on women, but look, I guess you go look a little bit because he's being pro-homosexual on these things. But I don't like the fact that you windmilling on women. Like you can't be out here beating up on ladies and all that other stuff. That's crazy. So hopefully you working all that other mess out. I'm like, who else is going to speak on it? But at least we got somebody speaking on it. So kudos to you for speaking out on wanting possible representation in hockey because yeah, there are a lot of people think that gays only do hair makeup and do drag and all this stuff. No, there are queer people out here who love sports. There are gays who love MMA. There are gays who like boxing. There are gays who like hockey. Trust and believe. All them boys that I be seeing at them games, they all can be straight and grown men. And also the Nick games and stuff that I be working. It's like, yeah, there are people who love sports that don't contribute to the stereotypes of what it is to be gay. And we all love, I love my drag, I love all this stuff too, but I'm a guy who likes sports as well. So hence why I consider myself a butch queen, because you like the butch side and the queen side, and I embrace both sides. So shout out to Sean. I don't like the idea of you out here having this reputation of being abusive towards women. That I didn't know that about him. But yeah, so I don't like you for that. But kudos for you for speaking out and wanting queer representation. So yeah, I say all this to say, what do you guys think of this story regarding Heated Rivalry and Sean Avery and everything he had to say on that? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. There's a kid bragging about calling ice. And you putting that on social media, and y'all be wondering why y'all be getting the beat downs. Okay, so let's hurry up and get through this because I just got a phone call from some. I was like, I gotta hurry up and definitely get up out of here. Okay, so Let's talk about Discord Addams. So yeah, the other day we did talk a bit about Discord Addams and all the stuff that was going on. We didn't know anything regarding whether or not she was disqualified, she wasn't disqualified, that sort of thing. I saw somebody jumped in the comments and made something about that, but I was like, yeah, I made that story before Discord went and recently did an interview. So yeah, Entertainment Weekly already started doing their interviews with a lot of the queens. I think they posted a video that was like 3.5 hours. I was like, I don't know if I have time to watch all of that. But she's been there was a story that came out during the production of the show that she was disqualified. And so the 35-year-old Florida-based performer is one of the 14 queens vying for the title of America's Next Drag Superstar on the 18th season. And according to a promotional statement, she is a punk rock maximalist who is ready to bring the chaos. Now, according to persistent fan rumors, though, she maybe brought a little too much chaos during filming and ended up being disqualified. So earlier this year, the rumor mill began spinning as to who will be on the season 18 cast, with Discord's name popping up, as one of the potential contestants. They said cropping up, but I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Yet, as some point during filming, rumors began swirling that she had been kicked off the competition due to a set altercation and alleged problematic behavior before her time on the show. The rumors stuck after an apparent host by Drag Race winner Shea Coulee from 2020 resurfaced, in which she allegedly told her followers that it was on site if she saw Discord in person. The post could no longer be found on Twitter. So I'm like, damn, y'all was out here fighting. And I remember Discord saying something other that she and Shay were friends or whatever the case was at one point. Now, when the Drag Race Season 18 cast dropped on December 5th, fans were surprised to see the apparent purveyor of chaos, Discord Addams, on the list. Now, in an interview with EW, the performer has dismissed the rumors as completely false and shared the truth on where she stands with Shea Coulee. Now, during the chat, interviewer Joey Nolfi asked Discord about her time spent in Chicago, Shay's hometown, with the drag star making an unsavory face and lamenting the city's poor weather. Saying, I'm convinced that the lack of sun there goes something to people's brains, she said before being asked whether Shay's post on Twitter was real. Hard to say, Discord said, adding, let's get to the bottom of it. Asked whether anything happened between her and Shay, Discord coyly responded, not really. It was kind of just fun. And then the internet took it as, I'm this awful human being who deserves to be dead. Now, addressing her alleged disqualifications, she continued, there's a rumor going around right now that I'm disqualified from this season. Like, we're not even having this conversation right now. I'm not even here. I'm truly disqualified, she joked before sharing a faux series of events. Here's what happened. RuPaul found that tweet from Shay, realized that I'm awful, terrible, racist, and then disqualified me from the season, and I'm edited out. Well, of course she's joking, but no, she wasn't edited out. Now, she then dismissed the rumor as not true before sharing details on the fan rumor about an on-set altercation with another queen. Jesus Christ. Discord also confirmed that she is friends with Shay and added that she doesn't even know if the post on Twitter was real or not. Now, alongside Discord Addams, season 18 features a wild line list of queens, including 2 members of season 16 star Morphe Love Dion's drag family and the sister of All Stars 10, Queen Bosco and Irene the Alien. I've heard a lot of the season winners are in town, and also Morphine is in town too, so she'll definitely be there tonight at the Drag Race premiere. RuPaul's Drag Race starts on January 2nd. And they said with the 14 queens tasked in episode 1 with creating designer looks from discarded drag race materials. So I'm hoping and praying that we actually get to see, like we did last year, um, we get to see the premiere. I know they're not going to show us the whole thing, but just enough of the premiere that I can come back and tell y'all what happened. So yeah, that's going to be going down in a couple of hours. I'm definitely looking forward. I'm definitely, with Discord, I've heard a lot about her in the past. Definitely looking forward to see what she brings to the show. And yeah, so shout out to you. Definitely excited to see what you're going to bring in this upcoming season and how it all turns out. I don't know where this rumor started, but it's like, yeah, this rumor just came out of nowhere and then people just been running with it. And hopefully down the road, and you saying, I don't know where this story came from, that now that maybe she can go back on Monet's show and do a part 2. And we could find out where this rumor came from about her in Discord now that people are aware of it and now they can ask about it because the names are officially out here as who won the show. Because I'm sure at the time when Monet was doing her show, she couldn't bring up nothing about Drag Race because you couldn't reveal who the queens were on the show, even though everybody knew who was on the show. So I'll definitely keep you guys abreast of the story as it develops once we get closer to Drag Race being released. But I definitely want to hear from y'all on the latest on Discord. Let me know what your thoughts on this story are in the comments down below. Sure do. We stand a Butch Queen. Okay, so y'all, let's get into our final topic. And let's talk about some sad news regarding finding Prince Charming's Chad Spodek. So yeah, I actually encountered him a couple of years back, like right after the success, after the show did what it did. We had chatted briefly behind the scenes on, so I think we were trying to figure out a time that we could do like an interview or something or another, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, he seemed like an overall nice guy. We always heard stories, like a lot of people saying that. But yeah, so he started the gay reality show Finding Prince Charming, because I was doing a lot of stories on this back in the day on Robert Sepulveda and his alleged past. It ain't really alleged because we've seen the videos, but you know. So they said that he had passed away at the age of 42, according to a fundraiser on GoFundMe. The aviation entrepreneur's death was announced this week in a GoFundMe that was set up to help cover his funeral costs as well as care for his mother and his pets. The cause of death was not announced. So they said, quote, "Our hearts are shattered as we share the devastating news of the loss of our beautiful, kind, and generous son, brother, and friend Chad," wrote friend Kate Bowski on the page. "His passing was sudden and heartbreaking, and we are still struggling to comprehend a world without his light. Chad was type of person who poured himself into others. He lifted up his friends, encouraged everyone around him to grow, to advocate for themselves, and to believe in their own worth. His love of animals was unmatched. He cared deeply for every creature, especially his 4 beloved dogs and his bird Cosmo. The world was brighter with Chad in it, and those who were lucky enough to know him felt the warmth of his heart every day." So Rabowski continued. They said he leaves behind his mother, Felice, who is now faced not only with unimaginable grief, but with an unexpected financial burden of funeral arrangements and ongoing living expenses. "We are coming together as a community to support her and Chad's animals during this incredible, painful time." And then we also have Lance Bass, who jumped in on the conversation and paid tribute to Spodek on his IG story, saying, "I am truly heartbroken." Um, Hold on, because I was like, let me actually pull it up for y'all to see. Um, I know this is like literally a last minute thing. Sometimes that happens when it comes to the show. It's like, you know what? I'll be having an afterthought. Just put it up here. So, so yeah, you have this picture here. Hopefully it okay, it's like blurry. Okay, so there it is. So we have the picture there, and it literally says, "I'm truly heartbroken about the sudden passing of our friend Chad. He was such a kind, sweet soul who loved his friends, his family, and his beloved pets so deeply, and I hope that's how everyone else remembers him. Life should never be taken for granted, so remember to be kind and check in on those you love, because you never know what people are dealing with privately, and tomorrow is never promised. Fly high, my friend." And you know why Lance Bass is probably talking about this is because Lance Bass was a host of Finding Prince Charming when it was on back in 10 years ago, 2016. Damn, time flies. So yeah, so Spodek, for those of you who aren't aware, he appeared on Logos, Finding Prince Charming, a Bachelor-esque show in which 13 homosexual men vied for the heart of interior designer, is that what we're calling him? Robert Sepulveda Jr. Spodek quit the show in week 6. Now, Spodek is also a real estate agent and flight attendant who co-launched private aviation charter Gold Suite Jets in 2020. So it's always sad to hear when people you've seen on a TV show or whatever the case is passes away. I am curious as to what was the cause, but until people are ready to reveal that bit of tea, we'll just have to say, since he was in aviation, fly high, young man. It's way young. That's like, child, you're in my age range. I don't like thinking about people in my age demographic. Then when you hear me like them passing away, because it's like it starts making me think about my mortality. And I'm invincible. I'm never leaving this earth. But anyway, so yeah, shout out to you, Chad. May you rest in peace. And so I definitely want to hear from y'all. What do you guys think of this story regarding the latest news on we lost a cast member from one of the gay shows, dating shows, Finding Prince Charming, that was over on Logo. Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments down below. Hmm. Yep, I was shocked at it when I saw that news too. So he unfortunately we lost somebody within our own situation. I actually like Pride and Prince Charming. That show was a mess, but I'm always entertained when we can have versions of things that the straight people take advantage of on their channels. But anyway, so yeah, we gotta get up. I gotta get him out of here. Love you all for checking out today's show. I'll be back on tomorrow. I have a feeling that that's what that was, but I didn't want to kind of say it. But since you put it up there, I'm thinking that it was the S word. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow with a brand new episode of the show. Of course, I'll be giving you all the insight because I got to run out to the city. I got to check in for this RuPaul Drag Race situation. So yeah, I'll be back on tomorrow with a brand new episode. Of course, I won't filter. Hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. I love you all for watching. Thank you all for your continued support. And oh yeah, I saw that last week. I watched that. Whenever she pops up with a video, I always check out Kayla Says. I like her content. So yeah, love you all for watching. Thank you all for your continued support. And until next time, ciao, darlings.